Your chest tightens before you even know why. The room feels louder, brighter, too many tabs open in your mind. Your phone shakes with a group chat skirmish, your inbox pings like a metronome, and your jaw clenches as if bracing for a hit. A comment lands wrong. Your heart jumps. Your throat goes dry. The story starts writing itself without you. They're judging me. I'm behind. I'm failing. You answer fast, then faster, and every fast answer makes the noise spike. You want to be the person who slows time, the one who hears the thunder, smiles, and chooses clear action. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. There's a switch inside your nervous system that lets you go from storm-tossed to steady in under a minute. Not willpower, not pretending. A body-first, brain-backed way to widen the window and pick what you do next. You'll feel breath return, shoulders unhook, vision sharpen. You'll hear your own judgment again, and you'll act from the part of you that's built for weather, not whipped by it. Let's name the device you'll use again and again, the Stoic Switch. Picture a small physical toggle just under your sternum, a click you can feel with breath and attention. The Stoic Switch protocol is simple in shape and deep in effect. You pause for a heartbeat. You run a 4-4-6 breath to signal safety. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. You name the weather out loud: anger, embarrassment, panic, pressure. Then you ask 2 quiet questions. What is actually happening right now in front of me? What is the smallest wise action I can take in the next 60 seconds? You take that action, not the grand gesture, not the dramatic fix. You choose tiny and true over loud and large. That is the switch. You aren't numbing. You are rerouting blood back to the smart part of your brain. Here's the science that matters. No lecture required. When you feel cornered, your amygdala yanks attention to threat and steals blood flow from your prefrontal cortex. That's why you can't find the right words and why your vision narrows. The long exhale of the 4-4-6 nudges your vagus nerve to whisper safety through your body, which slows your heart and gives your prefrontal cortex oxygen again. The label you speak, anger, embarrassment, recruits language networks that already sit near executive control. Just naming the weather softens its edge. These moves aren't abstract. They're levers you can pull in the wild. You aren't trying to delete emotions. You're giving yourself 90 seconds for them to surge and settle while you keep your hands on the wheel. Try this now. Place one hand on your chest bone and one on your belly. Feel the weight of your palms, the temperature of your skin. Inhale through your nose to a calm count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold with a gentle fullness, 2 beats, 3, 4. Exhale like a slow sigh, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again. Watch the awareness of the room expand, edges sharpen, colors soften. Say quietly, I'm noticing tension in my jaw, heat in my cheeks, a buzzing behind my eyes. Name the weather, I'm having a wave of pressure. Keep your voice even, as if you're describing the sky. This is not suppression. This is stewardship. You're creating a ledge inside the waterfall, a story to make this concrete. Jules runs product at a small startup. Monday morning, fluorescent lights, coffee breath, 15 minutes until a demo with a skeptical partner. Slack explodes. A bug in the beta. Someone drops, "Who shipped this?" Heat pours into Jules's face. The old pattern is sharp. Defend, blame, push harder. Instead, Jules hears the inner cue. Click the Stoic Switch. 1-4-4-6 breath. The second breath is a quiet hold, like setting a cup gently on a table. Jules names it, surge of panic. Then the 2 questions. What is actually happening? One endpoint returning a 500. What is the smallest wise action in 60 seconds? Ask for the log snippet and roll back to the last stable release. Jules looks up and says, "Let's pull the snippet from the error and swap to stable for the demo. Can you paste the stack trace?" The room exhales. The demo happens. The deal lives. Later, Jules still fixes the process, still has the hard conversation. But in the moment, the smallest wise action was more than enough. The storm passed because someone held the wheel. You'll notice something else. When you click the Stoic Switch, you create an inner gap wide enough to remember your values. You become answerable to the person you've chosen to be, not to the loudest emotion. This is where Stoicism meets neuroscience. It's not about never feeling. It's about building a reliable distance between trigger and choice. The distance is your freedom. The choice is your authorship. You're not a robot. You're a skilled sailor reading the weather, trimming the sail, and picking the next tack. Your brain's reticular activating system, the RAS that filters what you notice, starts to orient towards signals of agency instead of alarms of doom. You see handles where you used to only see walls. That is not toxic positivity. That is trained perception. Add a micro drill to your pocket now because you'll need it today. I call it the anchor point scan. When the room goes loud, find 3 anchors: the contact of your feet with the floor, the air at the tips of your nostrils, and the weight where your hands meet each other or the desk. Touch each anchor for 1 breath: floors, nose, hands. In that tiny circuit, the body tells the brain, "We are here, we are safe enough, we have options." Then speak the weather, then the 2 questions. You can run this whole protocol while your colleague is talking. No one will know, except they will feel something steady enter the space. Notice your posture right now. Let your shoulder blades slide down and back an inch. Let your tongue rest heavy behind your teeth. Drop your gaze slightly, widening your peripheral vision, as if you're on a cliff looking out at water. Peripheral vision cues calm. Tunnel vision cues threat. You are telling your nervous system the truth. There is space. The more times you pair a longer exhale with widened sight, the faster your switch will click later in the wild. That's neuroplasticity at work, the brain's habit of myelinating what you rehearse. Rehearse steadiness, and your future self inherits the wiring. There is a second framework you'll begin to practice today, one that pairs with the Stoic Switch like flint and steel. Call it the 90-second weather rule. When a strong emotion surges, let it rise fully for 1.5 minutes while you do nothing dramatic. You watch like a mountain, breathe as trained, label the experience, and let chemistry run its arc. Most biochemical surges hit and fade inside that window if you stop feeding them with catastrophic stories. During the 90 seconds, you're not fixing, texting, posting, or apologizing. You're holding. At the end, you ask your 2 questions and pick the smallest wise action. The rule creates trust. Your body learns that no wave is bigger than your shoreline. A personal moment to show the edges. A friend snapped at you last week, and you felt the old back of the neck heat and the script rise. I have to prove I'm right. You didn't touch the switch. You fired back, and the call ended badly. You replayed it while brushing your teeth, stomach tight as a knot. Now today, the same friend pings to talk. You feel the same charge tug your chest downward. This is your do-over. You click the Stoic Switch before you answer. 1446. Name the weather, a wave of defensiveness. What is actually happening? A person wants to talk. What is the smallest wise action? Ask for clarity before you defend. You type, "Happy to talk. What's the key point you want to cover?" The conversation shifts. It doesn't erase history, but it gives both of you a better present. This is what mastery feels like at first. Not fireworks, simply fewer messes to clean up. As you breathe now, let the exhale fall longer than the inhale. Feel warmth return to your fingertips. Hear the softest sounds in your room, the air conditioner or distant traffic, and place them behind your voice like a gentle soundtrack. Say quietly, "I am the awareness behind the weather, not the weather itself." Let that sentence sit in the back of your mind like a pilot light. Identity changes through repeated sentences, paired with repeated sensations. Every time you click the switch, you also rehearse who you are becoming, a steady person who listens first, chooses second, and moves third. You may worry that calm means passive, that steadiness is surrender. It isn't. Calm is capacity. Steadiness is speed you can trust. When adrenaline owns your steering, you tend to overcorrect and crash into the guardrail you didn't need to approach. When the Stoic Switch is on, you still move, often faster. But you pick the only leverage that counts in the moment. You ask the question that reframes the room. You make the phone call you've avoided, because now it's just a phone call, not a referendum on your worth. You walk away when walking away is wise, and you stay when staying is strong. The power is that you know which is which. If you're listening while commuting or washing dishes, slide the practice into the ordinary. Pick a familiar annoyance, a red light that seems designed to punish you, a slow download, a line at the cafe. Hear the old narrative begin. "This always happens to me." Click the switch. Breathe 4, 4 or 6. Name the weather. Ask the two questions. The smallest wise action might be absurdly small. Unclench your hands, soften your gaze, or craft the first sentence of the email you've been avoiding. You'll feel the world obey a new rhythm. The training ground is not a monastery. It's the queue at the grocery store. One more sensory beat to anchor the learning. Lift your shoulders to your ears as you inhale, then let them drop with the long exhale. Notice the micro-release at the base of your skull. Press your thumb into the center of your palm, a tactile cue you can marry to the switch. Feel the tiny ache, the way clarity follows contact. Your body is not the enemy of your mind. It is the door to the control room. Emotions ride in on chemistry, choices ride out on breath, sight, and words said gently to yourself. There will be days when the noise is not just loud but cruel. Someone will say the thing that slices you open where you're most tender. You will feel bile and grief and the urge to disappear. Even then, especially then, your skill is the same. You'll give your chemistry its 90 seconds. You'll stand on the shore. You'll ask your two questions. You'll pick the smallest wise action. You'll apologize if you need to. You'll set a boundary if that's what integrity demands. The storm can be spectacular, and you can still be yourself. That's the quiet revolution. Becoming trustworthy to yourself under pressure. This is not about becoming untouchable. It's about becoming available to life without being toppled by it. You will still care. You will still love. The people you love will still disappoint you sometimes and astonish you often. You'll change by being present, not by numbing out. The Stoic Switch is the friend inside your chest who says, "I'm here, let's breathe, let's see clearly, let's move wisely." And then you do. Before we close for today, take the pocket version with you. When the volume spikes, touch your anchor points, run 1, 4, 4, 6, name the weather. Ask what's true right now and what tiny action moves you toward the person you are practicing to be. Decide and act. That's it, again and again, until the grooves in your brain are smooth with steadiness. This is the first step of the Stoic Switch. Next, we'll wire it deeper, train it under harder conditions, and build the muscles that hold your choices when life gets very loud. Today, you turned steadiness from a good idea into reflex. Yesterday, you learned the Stoic Switch and the 90-second weather rule. Now you're going to install them into your nervous system so they show up before the story does. This is called stress inoculation, not because you avoid stress, but because you meet it in small, planned doses while staying connected to choice. Think of a singer warming up scales so the high note is there when the stage lights blind her. You are doing the same for your prefrontal cortex, rehearsing the reach for the switch while the room gets louder. The promise is simple. You won't become unshakable by accident. You'll become unshakable because your body already knows what to do when the surge hits. Feel your seat beneath you for a moment. Notice the pressure where your thighs meet the chair, the solid fact of gravity doing its job. Let cool air touch the inside of your nostrils as you breathe in, and a gentle warmth leave as you breathe out. Let your jaw soften by 2 millimeters. This tiny physical shift matters because your brain reads posture as a vote about danger or safety. Safety unlocks options. Options are the currency of steadiness. Here's the frame. Your brain is a prediction machine. When something loud happens, a calendar reminder you forgot, a message that pings at midnight, prediction errors spike. The amygdala flags, funnels blood toward your limbs, and narrows your vision. That's useful if you need to jump from a moving bike, less useful if you need to choose a sentence, a boundary, or a tone. Long exhales named weather, and small wise actions send new data upstream. Nothing is chasing me. I have time. I have agency. Over repeated reps, your prediction system updates. The threshold for alarm rises. That's neuroplasticity applied, not theory. You aren't trying to feel nothing. You're teaching your body to believe you can handle something. The first new framework you'll learn today is the Window-Widen protocol. Think of your tolerance for intensity as a window. When you're inside it, you can think and feel at the same time. When you're outside it, you either rev too fast or drop out. The protocol has a rhythm you can tap, even in chaos. You pause for 1 beat, then breathe 4-4-6 exactly twice. You describe the weather like a neutral reporter. Pressure behind the eyes, heat in the cheeks, tightness in the chest. You then deliberately expand sensory awareness by naming 3 safe objects in the room: a cup, a light switch, a door frame. So your RAS tilts toward context rather than threat. Only then do you pick the smallest wise action. The order matters. Pause, breath, describe, expand, act. Done in 20 to 40 seconds, it's the maneuver that keeps you inside the window when the noise spikes. Practice it right now. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4 like you're carrying a bowl filled to the brim. Exhale for 6, a slow pour that makes your shoulders drop. Repeat once. Say out loud, voice steady, I'm noticing a flutter in my stomach and a little pressure in my chest. Let your eyes widen to take in the periphery, the outline of the door, the left edge of your screen, the pattern on the floor. This is the expansion that tells your nervous system the tunnel is imaginary. Now ask the second question from yesterday. What is the smallest wise action in the next 60 seconds? If you're in a room alone, it might be placing your phone face down and taking the first step on a task. If you're in conversation, it might be one clarifying sentence before you defend yourself. The window widens because you touched 4 anchors in a row. You'll layer a second tool on top of that protocol, something for the mind to do while chemistry settles. Call it the 3-perspective reframe. The first perspective is present you, the direct experience, the weather you just named. The second is future you, 90 minutes from now, the version on the other side of the surge. The third is the neutral witness, the version who describes facts the way a camera would. You let each have one line. Present. You says, I feel a hot wave and the urge to fix everything. Future. You says, 90 minutes from now, this will be a resolved email thread and a quiet room. The neutral witness says, the message arrived. It asked for a change. No verdict about my worth exists here. With 3 lines, you reassign your RAS away from catastrophe toward continuity. The emotion still moves. You simply aren't strapped to its hood. A story so you can feel how this plays out where it counts. Mina works the reception desk at a busy clinic, a job that demands 9 hands and a saint's patience. On a rain-heavy Wednesday, a patient arrives late and angry. He raises his voice. Other faces turn. Mina feels the old loop, shrink or snap. Instead, she runs the Window-Widen protocol under the counter. 1 4-4-6 breath, then another. She names the weather silently, embarrassment and a surge of panic. Eyes soften to take in the poster on the wall, the pattern in the carpet, the green button on the phone, 3 anchors. Then, the smallest wise action. 1 sentence that acknowledges and redirects. She says, I can hear this matters to you. Let me see the soonest slot I can offer today or tomorrow. The volume drops. Between patients, she writes the 3-perspective reframe on a sticky note for later. Present, you is tight-chested. Future, you will be at home with tea. The neutral witness notes that 1 man was late and loud, many were kind and on time. She leaves on time, not hollowed out by one storm. Notice your hands. Are they cold or warm? Rub your palms together until you feel heat, then rest 1 hand where your ribs meet your belly. The touch turns abstract tools into muscle memory. When your skin feels your hand, your insula, the part of your brain monitoring internal sensation, lights up. Interoception is not a buzzword. It's a steering wheel. The more accurately you can sense what your body is doing, the earlier you catch the surge and the sooner you can widen the window. You'll train this deliberately with a drill I call noise rehearsal. Pick a small, safe stressor you can control, a timer that beeps, a video with cafe chatter, a playlist of distant sirens. For 2 minutes, let the sound play while you sit upright. Run the Window-Widen protocol twice. Describe the weather once. Run the 3-perspective reframe once. Then end the drill by choosing 1 tiny action, like writing a single sentence or wiping your screen clean. 2 minutes, then stop. This matters because you're pairing a mild surge with a skilled response. Later, when the surge is unplanned, your body finds the groove you've carved. Another short story, because repetition makes it real. Andre manages a small creative team. A client sends a long, critical email at 11:08 p.m. The old version of Andre would craft a defense at midnight and sleep badly. Tonight, he tries something else. He drops the phone onto the dresser, face down, smallest wise action, then stands barefoot on the cool floor, 4-4-6 twice. He says aloud, softer than a whisper, wave of shame and a pull to fix. His eyes widen to include the closet door, the window, the corner of the bed. 3 anchors. He writes the 3-perspective reframe in his journal by phone light. Present, you feel stung. Future, you will thank you for answering at 9:30 with clarity. Neutral witness, a client asked for changes. No one is bleeding, he sleeps. At 9:30, he writes a concise reply. Thanks. 2 agreements, 1 boundary, 1 proposed next step. The project recovers. The part that matters most? He didn't negotiate his worth with adrenaline. He acted as if his value was steady and let his actions follow. Roll your shoulders back. Feel the small release at the base of your skull. Let your tongue rest heavy. These cues are tiny proof points to your body that you are safe enough for choice. When choice returns, you can practice a skill most people never learn. Implementation intentions, or if-then plans, which are just preloaded smallest wise actions. The brain adores patterns. You'll give it clean ones. If the meeting turns tense, then I will exhale slowly and ask one clarifying question. If I read criticism at night, then I will schedule my reply for morning. If a loved one raises their voice, then I will soften mine and ask for one specific behavior. You're not promising perfection, you're pre-wiring the switch. Let's build your first 3 if-then cards right now. Say them aloud, softly, so your ears join the rehearsal. If my phone lights up with a demand, then I will put it face down and breathe 4, 6 twice. If I feel heat in my cheeks, then I will widen my eyes to the edges of the room and name the weather. If I'm tempted to fix everything, then I will pick the smallest wise action that takes less than 1 minute. Feel how your chest loosens when the rules are simple. Complexity collapses under pressure. Clarity survives it. You may wonder, what if the surge doesn't pass in 90 seconds? Sometimes chemistry stacks. Poor sleep, hunger, old grief. On those days, widen the window with time rather than force. Run the 90-second weather rule twice. Walk while you breathe. Water helps. Drink a glass and feel the cool path down your throat. Chew something with texture. These are not hacks. They are ways to give your body new signals to process so the threat loop loses its monopoly. When the intensity is high, do less thinking and more sensing. Then return to the 2 questions and the smallest wise action. You never graduate from simple, you just get faster at it. A more tender moment, because life will bring you these. You're driving, and a song you haven't heard since a breakup spills out of the radio. Your throat tightens. Your grip on the wheel turns white. It would be easy to chase the memory down a tunnel you can't control. Instead, you click the switch. Breath 4, 4, 6. Weather, grief rising. Expand your eyes to include the line of trees, the brake lights 2 cars ahead, the sky like brushed aluminum. The smallest wise action is to let the song finish while you hold the wheel gently and whisper, I can feel this and still steer. You are not bypassing feeling, you're escorting it while driving. That is grown strength. Notice the temperature on your forearms. Is it cool? Warm? This is you practicing interoception on purpose. The more fluent you are at reading micro signals, the more authority you have over macro choices. The identity line lives here. You are the awareness hosting the weather, not the weather trying to host you. Emotions are advisors, not dictators. When you treat them that way, they become surprisingly helpful. Anger points at violated values. Anxiety points at uncertainty, asking for a plan. Sadness asks for honoring loss. You listen, thank the advisor, and decide. Before we close, one more drill to harden the groove. Call it the 1-minute containment box. You imagine a small chest on the table in front of you. For 60 seconds, you place the unsolvable parts of your current stressor into the box. Other people's choices, tomorrow's outcomes. You keep only the part of the problem that contains your agency today. While the timer runs, you breathe 4-4-6 twice, do the 3 perspective reframe once, and write what your one smallest wise action is. When the minute ends, you do that action and nothing else. Containment is not denial, it's craftsmanship. You shape your effort where it can take. Stand, if you can, and shake your hands out, wrists loose. Feel your feet on the ground. You came here to learn how to be steady when life gets loud. You are building that person in small, precise moves, a longer exhale, a wider gaze, a named weather, a tiny action. The Window-Widen protocol and the 3 perspective reframe are now in your pocket. Use them today on something small before the big thing arrives. That's how you make the big thing smaller. And when the next surge hits, and it will, you'll hear the click behind your sternum. You'll feel your shoulders settle. You'll ask those 2 questions as if you were born with them. You'll pick the smallest wise action and do it without drama. The noise will still make sound, but you won't mistake volume for truth. You'll be you behind the weather, steering. By now you've felt the click of the Stoic Switch and watched storms pass without stealing your steering. Today, you'll learn why certain storms show up on repeat and how to draw a clean line that keeps your energy and dignity intact. Triggers aren't random. They are alarms attached to values. If you only fight the alarm and never reconnect the wire to the value it protects, you'll spend your life swatting at sirens. The move you learn now turns noise into information. You'll map what sets you off. You'll name the value underneath, and you'll turn that value into a small boundary you can deliver in a single, steady breath. This is how steadiness becomes structure, not just mood. Settle for a moment. Feel the chair under your thighs, the weight of your feet pressing into the floor, the way your ribs lift on the inhale and fall on the long exhale. Let the air cool your nostrils and leave your mouth warmer, a soft thread of heat. Put one palm against your sternum and notice the pressure of bone against skin. That touch is your reminder. You are not disembodied thought. Your body is the instrument that tunes your mind. When it's tuned, every choice rings clearer. Here's the science bridge you need. Your brain evolved with a strong negativity bias, a useful tilt toward potential danger that kept your ancestors alive. The reticular activating system acts like the stage manager for your attention. If you teach it that late emails equal threat or raised voices equal rejection, it will spotlight them every time, pulling blood toward your survival circuits and away from the planning parts of your brain. That's why the same kinds of events feel bigger than they are. The trick is not to argue with the RAS, it's to give it better cues. When you map a trigger to a value, you swap a vague alarm for a precise objective. Your prediction system updates. This is not danger. This is a boundary request. That is a different show entirely. Name the first framework of today, the trigger value bridge. Imagine a walkway between 2 cliffs. On one side is the raw jolt. Someone interrupts you. A partner cancels last minute. A colleague sends a vague request with an urgent tone. On the other side is the value that got poked: respect, reliability, clarity. When you cross that bridge, you stop fighting the person and start defending a principle you can state calmly. The crossing looks like this in your body. You click the Stoic Switch, 4-4-6 twice. You say, "Weather is frustration and heat in my cheeks." Then you ask, which value is being bumped? You pick one word, not a paragraph. Respect, reliability, clarity. With the value named, your next move becomes obvious. Create a small boundary that protects that value in the next minute. Try it now with a low-stakes memory. Think of a time someone cut you off mid-sentence. You feel the tiny collapse in your chest, the impulse to talk louder. Click the switch. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Name the weather. A spike of irritation, tightness across the collarbones. Cross the bridge. The value is respect. Smallest wise action, ask for a turn without edge. You say, steady and simple, I'll finish this thought, then I'm happy to hear yours. Notice how your shoulders fall when the sentence stands up for something instead of shoving someone. That is the difference between reaction and authorship. A story to ground this in a real room. Noor runs a team that coordinates launches across time zones. One teammate, brilliant and scattered, pings at odd hours with chaotic requests. On a Thursday night at 11:41, Noor's phone lights up. Can you rebuild the deck by morning? Her stomach drops. The old pattern is to stay awake, angry and resentful, fixing it anyway. Tonight, she tries the bridge. Switch, breath, weather, irritation, and a pull to prove worth by overdoing. Value, reliability that doesn't require heroics. Rest that protects tomorrow's clarity. Smallest wise action, reply with a clean boundary and a next step. Noor writes, I'll take a first pass at 8 a.m. If you want it tonight, loop in Sam to draft slides 3 to 6. The message is quiet, clear, and done. She sleeps. In the morning, her brain has oxygen and the deck gets built faster. The teammate learns a pattern. If it's late, either share the load or wait. Noor didn't fight a person, she protected a value. Breathe and widen your eyes to include the edges of the room, the left corner of your screen, the seam in the wall. Peripheral vision tells your nervous system there's space. Now slide into the second framework, the one that turns values into words you can carry anywhere. Call it the clean line. A clean line is a one-breath boundary that has 3 parts folded into a single flow. You name the observable reality, you name what you're available for, and you name the next tiny step. No apologies, no essays, no courtroom. The line sounds like this in your mouth. Meetings that run over cut into my next commitment. I'm available to stay 10 minutes, then I'll step out. What do you want covered before I go? Or this, I don't answer work texts after 8 p.m. I'll respond at 9 a.m. If it's truly urgent, call once and then call again. The clean line respects both you and the other person. It gives your RAS a script so it doesn't improvise under pressure. Practice out loud now so your ears help your brain believe you. Pick a situation you keep bumping. Let your tongue rest heavy, soften your jaw, and say a clean line that fits your life. Keep it one breath. Finish, then inhale through your nose and feel the air cool the back of your throat. There's a physical relief that follows a clean line, like unclenching a cramped hand. That relief is data. Your body likes truth delivered simply. Another story, because boundaries aren't only for offices. Ravi has a younger brother who borrows money and disappears when it's time to pay back. Every ask comes with charm and urgency. Ravi's chest tightens when his phone lights with the name. He clicks the switch and runs the trigger value bridge. Weather, tenderness mixed with dread, warmth in the face, a bending in the spine that says, say yes now, regret later. Value, generosity that doesn't subsidize avoidance, trust that grows from kept promises. Clean line. I love you and I'm not lending money right now. I can help you plan a budget on Sunday. Ravi says it slowly, feeling the syllables tap his teeth. The brother pushes once, then twice. Ravi repeats the line and offers the plan. The conversation ends with some heat, but Ravi's breath is long. His shoulders are where they belong. 2 months later, the brother texts about a job interview and asks for a mock session. Trust inches forward. The relationship didn't need endless yeses. It needed a line. Here's why this works under the skull. The prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and impulse control, is exquisitely sensitive to the difference between choice and coercion. When you deliver a boundary as a clean offer rather than a defensive monologue, you reduce perceived threat for both your system and theirs. The amygdala quiets its siren. Your vagus nerve keeps the brake pedal available. Long-term, this shifts your default prediction from "I must rescue or fight" to "I can name and choose." That's not a trick. That's neuroplasticity obeying your repetitions. Drop your shoulders an inch. Notice the way breath slides lower into your belly when you imagine speaking a line without heat. Let your fingertips press together lightly until you feel a faint thrum. That's your pulse reminding you you're an organism, not an argument. You are the awareness hosting the weather, not the weather trying to host you. From that vantage point, you can be both kind and firm, which is the exact texture of steadiness. You'll cement this with a micro-practice I call the one-page trigger map. For 7 minutes, you open a notebook and write 3 scenes that tug you out of shape. The standing late meeting, the roommate dishes, the ambiguous messages that pretend to be friendly but feel like obligations. For each scene, you draft a single clean line. Then you speak each one once, feeling how your ribs move and where your voice wants to rush. Slow it down until one breath carries the whole sentence. Close the notebook. You've just trained your RAS to look for values, not villains. That map is a lighthouse you build one sentence at a time. Consider a more delicate terrain, your own self-talk. Sometimes the loud room isn't outside. It's the voice that says you're behind. You blew it. You should be further by now. The trigger value bridge still works here. Weather, a pinch behind the eyes and a fast, tight breath. Value, learning over perfection, effort over image. Clean line, spoken inwardly. We do single reps here. The next right sentence is enough. Notice the immediate slack in your diaphragm when you let that line land. You're not lowering your standards. You're making them sustainable and honest. That's how real improvement happens, under a climate of safety that makes risk-taking possible. Another vignette to give your gut a picture. Tessa is meeting her partner's family for the first time. Jokes fly that lean sharper than she likes. In the kitchen, an aunt comments on work-life choices with a tone that stings. Tessa feels her face warm and her shoulders climb. She steps to the sink, runs water, and lets the cool splash on her wrists. Switch, breath, weather, a wave of defensiveness, heart-knocking, value, dignity wrapped in curiosity. Clean line. I enjoy hearing how this looks from your side, and I'm not available for jokes about that choice. I'm happy to share the thinking that led there. She says it low and clear, not heavy. The aunt blinks, recovers, and asks a question about the job itself. The night lifts. Tessa didn't debate her worth. She made room for a conversation worth having. Feel the air against the tiny hairs on your forearms. Hear the faintest sound in the room, maybe traffic or a fan, and let it sit behind your awareness like a soft drone. This is you widening your window on command. Boundaries delivered from contraction tend to snap. Boundaries delivered from an expanded field tend to hold. Expansion is a feeling first, then a sentence. You might worry that clean lines will make you cold. The opposite is true. Clarity is a form of kindness because it removes guesswork and reduces the whiplash of mixed signals. Your nervous system calms when you trust yourself to say what you mean. Other people relax when they don't have to read your mind. The cost is a little discomfort in the moment, paid instead of accruing interest as resentment. That's a favorable rate. Let your palms rest open on your thighs. Notice the temperature shift where skin meets fabric. As you breathe, imagine a small room in your chest with a window that looks out on weather. In this room, there's a switch on the wall and a thin cord attached to a bell. The bell rings when a value is bumped. Your job isn't to smash the bell or ignore it. Your job is to pull the cord once, say, "Yes, I hear you," then walk to the window and speak your line. Over time, the bell rings less often, and when it does, it sounds like guidance, not panic. One more practice you can run today in the wild. When a request arrives that you could fulfill, but at a cost you'll resent, say, "I'll get back to you in 10. Then, actually step away. Do 1446, name the value at stake, and draft a single clean line that protects it. Return with the line. You're not buying time to avoid, you're buying oxygen to choose. That 10-minute gap will save you 10 hours of repair later. You'll see spillover effects quickly. People begin to approach you differently, not because you've become hard, but because you've become legible. Your calendar starts to reflect your priorities instead of your fears. You sleep with fewer rehearsals in your head. And in the space that returns, you build the projects, the relationships, the health you say you want. Not by magic, by the discipline of a sentence. Close your eyes for a breath and picture the next room where life gets loud for you. See the faces, hear the hum. Watch your future self walk in, shoulders low, gaze wide. The bell rings once, the switch clicks, weather is named, value is found, line is spoken. The room adjusts around you like a sail catching the right wind. You don't dominate, you orient, you don't control, you steer. This is the texture of the Stoic Switch when it matures, less wrestling, more rowing. This is not about winning arguments, it's about staying in right relationship with yourself while you meet other people as they are. The loud will stay loud sometimes. You'll still get it wrong some days, and that's fine. You'll apologize without humiliating yourself, and you'll keep building the bridge. Each time you do, the person you're becoming gets a little more room. That person is steady without being stiff, soft without being a doormat, strong without being sharp. You are that person in rehearsal now. Before you move on, whisper a line you'll need this week. Feel the resonance in your chest. Feel the air around you shift as if a door opened. That door is the way you will leave old patterns behind. Step through it with a small action today. One clean line, delivered kindly. Let it change the next hour, not your whole life. Your whole life will notice anyway. You've built the switch and drawn clean lines. Now you'll quiet the loudest room of all, the story machine inside your head. When pressure spikes, your nervous system sends up raw signals, heat, tightness, a punch of adrenaline like carbonated water under your ribs. In the next heartbeat, your mind pastes words on the signal and calls it truth. They don't respect me. I'm about to blow it. This always happens. The problem isn't that you think. The problem is that you mistake your first story for reality and then act as if it were a command. Today you'll learn how to separate raw data from the narrative wrapper so your choices come from contact with the world, not from a rumor about it. The promise is fast. Split signal from story, and the volume in your chest drops enough for wise action to walk through. Settle for a moment and notice what is undeniably happening in your body. Feel your sit bones take your weight. Notice the cool air entering your nose and the warm air leaving. Let your hands rest heavy on your thighs and sense the subtle pulse in your fingertips, a quiet drumming that proves a life is moving through you without your supervision. Soften your jaw and let the back of your eyes widen, as if you're looking past the screen to a horizon. This widening tells your midbrain there is room. Room is what stories forget about when they get scared. Here's the framework that returns room in seconds. Call it the signal story split. A signal is anything you could film with a camera or measure with a sensor. A raised voice, a missed call, heat in your cheeks, a calendar alert. A story is your mind's immediate caption. I'm being attacked, they don't care, I'm incompetent. When you split the two, you don't argue with your mind. You label its offer and move your feet based on signals, not on forecasts. The moves are simple enough to run while someone's talking. You click the Stoic Switch. You breathe 4 to 4-6 twice. You say in a low voice, signal is pressure in my chest and a message that says urgent. Story is, they think I'm failing. Then you pick the smallest wise action that answers the signal, not the story. Reply with a clarifying question, check the spec, reschedule for a realistic time. You keep your dignity because you stopped wrestling a ghost. Practice now. Imagine the latest ambiguous text that made your stomach flip. Inhale to 4, hold to 4, exhale to 6, slow and steady. Whisper, signal is 2 sentences with no context arriving at 10:58 p.m. Story is they're mad and I'm in trouble. Ask the 2 questions you know, what is actually happening right now, and what is the smallest wise action in the next 60 seconds. The answer might be to put the phone face down, write a draft reply that starts with 1 question, and schedule it for morning. You didn't deny feeling. You escorted feeling while choosing from signal, a story from a glass-walled conference room to show you the texture. Carla is pitching a concept to her team. Halfway through, her manager frowns and types. The old Carla would feel heat climb her neck, and her mind would staple a story to the signal. He hates it. I'm blowing my chance. She would speed up, talk louder, and forget the next slide. Today she hears the click behind her sternum. 4, 4 and a 6 twice. Signal story. Split. Signal is a frown and typing during a pitch. Story is disapproval. Smallest wise action, ask a clarifying question that grounds the moment. She pauses the slide and says, do you want the client data here or later? The manager looks up, smiles slightly and says, later works. Keep going. The room breathes. The deck lands. The story machine doesn't get to drive the car. Notice the air on your forearms, the way fabric meets skin and temperature shifts under your attention. Feel your tongue rest heavy in your mouth, an underrated cue that tells your vagus nerve to ease the throttle. This is interoception, sensing inside, and it's not a trend. It's a steering wheel. When you can feel signal clearly, you become harder to sell bad stories to. Here's the science bridge that matters. The network that spins stories when you're not paying attention is called the default mode network. It loves unfinished business and ambiguous cues. Pair that with the amygdala's job, flag threat, and you get a bias toward negative guesses, which once saved your ancestors' lives in tall grass. Language does something merciful. When you label an inner event as a thought, I'm having the thought that I'm about to blow it. You recruit language, and executive regions that dampen limbic alarms. Blood returns to your prefrontal cortex. Choice returns to your mouth and hands. No lecture needed, just useful levers to pull. So, you'll install a second framework today, a quiet one you can run in the elevator or between sentences. Call it label and lean back. When a loud story lands, you prepend the phrase, "I'm having the thought that," and you physically lean back 1 inch, enough to feel the chair catch your spine. The sentence creates cognitive distance. The lean creates bodily distance. Together, they convert a command into a suggestion. You can still act on a good suggestion. You are no longer captive to a bad one. Try it. I'm having the thought that they're disappointed. Lean back 1 inch. Breathe out longer than you breathed in. Feel the grip in your chest loosen by a notch. Now you can ask a clean question or deliver a clean line. Run this in a tender scene. You text a friend and watch the bubbles disappear, then nothing. The story flares. I said too much. They're tired of me. Label and lean back. I'm having the thought that I broke something. Back 1 inch. Exhale to 6. The smallest wise action is not to send a second text, clawing for reassurance. The signal says there is no new data. The wise action is to return to your life, make tea, and reply when a reply arrives. The evening softens because you didn't fuel a bonfire with your own kindling. Scan your senses again. Hear the farthest sound you can perceive. A bird outside, an air conditioner, a neighbor's door, and let it sit behind your awareness like a low chord. Feel your feet warm against the floor. You are the awareness, not the emotion. When you hold that line, inner weather has room to pass without recruiting you as storm staff. To help your attention notice handles instead of hazards, you'll prime your filter on purpose. Your reticular activating system is the gatekeeper of what your brain shows you. If you feed it the question, "Why is this such a mess?" it will find mess. If you feed it, "Where is my handle?" it will find tiny actions and allies. So you build a ritual. Call it the handle hunt. Each morning you name one project, one relationship, and one internal habit. For each, you ask only, "Where is my handle today?" What is the smallest, concrete touch that moves it 1 notch? You say the 3 handles out loud while exhaling long, so your body pairs agency with calm. During the day, your RAS plays fetch, bringing you matching cues. It is not magic. It is a biased search engine finally working for you. A small story from the commute. Jamal rides the train with a knot in his stomach. A presentation is due, and a teammate missed a piece. The old story is a rolling thunder. If people were competent, I wouldn't be stuck fixing this. He tries the new ritual, handle hunt. Project handle. Draft the intro slide while on the train. Relationship handle. Text the teammate 1 sentence that asks for exactly 1 asset by noon. Habit handle. At the office door, breathe 4-4-6 once before opening email. He says them under his breath. His RAS, now primed, spots the quiet car seat with a table and the colleague who owes him the asset stepping into the carriage 2 cars down. He walks, asks, and gets the file by the next stop. The day isn't perfect. It is tractable. Let your gaze soften again until you could sense movement on the edges of your vision. This expanded field, athletes call it soft eyes, drops your threat response a notch and gives your planning brain oxygen. You're pairing calm with action, so your nervous system learns they can coexist. You'll add a micro practice that trains your stories to move 1 notch toward usefulness. Call it the emotional alchemy ladder. You don't leap from panic to peace. You climb from panic to pressure, from pressure to alert, from alert to engaged. Language is the rung. When you feel a surge, you choose a word one click less intense and speak it. Panic becomes pressure. Pressure becomes alert. Alert becomes energized. Your body follows your words because words shape prediction. Try it on a memory that still tugs. Name the first word, then pick the next gentler rung. Notice how your breath deepens with each rung. That deepening is not pretend. It is physiology catching a new forecast. Another story. This one in a kitchen lit by a refrigerator glow. Dana and her partner are both hungry, both tired. A small comment lands sideways, and the story in Dana's head goes immediate and global. We're broken. I always mess this up. She feels heat in her face and her hands go cold. Switch, 446, signal story. Split. Signal is a sharp tone and a clatter of cutlery. Story is doom. Label and lean. Back, I'm having the thought that we're broken. Back an inch. Emotional alchemy. Ladder. From doom to discouragement. From discouragement to concern. From concern to care. With care in her mouth, she says, I want this to go well. Can we restart? The room dilates. They eat. Later, they solve the small thing that sparked the spark. It wasn't cosmic. It was dinner and two nervous systems learning how to meet. Feel the cool of your breath at the tip of your nose. Let your shoulders slide down as if oil had been poured over the hinges. Tap your thumb to each finger slowly, counting 1 to 4 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale. This is a pocket metronome you can hide in plain sight during a tense call. The point isn't to escape the moment, it's to make the moment large enough to hold choice. Here's a gentle correction your brain needs to hear. Thoughts are not invoices you must pay. They are drafts. Your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part that edits, gets online when you mark a thought as a draft. The phrase I'm having the thought that is the red pen margin. Add a second phrase when a thought returns like a persistent salesperson. Thanks, mind. I'll handle the signal. This is not snark. It is a way to keep the partnership friendly. Your mind is trying to keep you alive. You're the one who knows that writing a one-sentence email is better than rehearsing 100 worst-case scripts. If your mind insists on catastrophes at night, give it a container. Use the one-shelf library. Keep a small card on your nightstand. When a story arrives that you cannot act on until morning, you write one sentence that begins with signal and ends with handle. Signal. Client asked for changes. Handle. I'll draft 3 options at 9:15. You place the card on the shelf and put your hand on your chest for one slow 4-4-6. You've answered your biology with a plan. You've answered your mind with a shelf. Sleep returns because both parts of you were treated with respect. Another vignette, this time for the student or the self-starter drowning in tabs. Priya sits down to work and hears a chorus of stories. The task is too big. Others are ahead. Today will be like yesterday. She runs a 3-breath ritual. First breath, signal story split, said aloud. Second breath, handle hunt. Name one action that fits inside 2 minutes. Third breath, label and lean back with the sentence, I'm having the thought that I need a completely different life to begin, which is a dramatic way of saying, I'm scared. She starts a 15-minute timer and writes the first ugliest paragraph. By minute 7, the story has lost interest because chemistry has shifted under the weight of action. The brain loves momentum more than it loves perfection. Notice the weight of your body in the chair again. Feel the gravity that will still be here long after this hour, neutral and steady. This is the quality you are training inside yourself. Neutrality, that holds steady while weather passes. You are not dulling yourself. You are sharpening your contact with the real. Sometimes the signal will be real danger. A voice will escalate beyond safety, or a boundary will be violated. The same tools work faster and firmer. Split the signal from any minimizing story. Signal, shouting inches from your face. Handle, leave the room, call for help, end the call. The Stoic Switch is not about enduring the intolerable. It is about making the cleanest move available. Your nervous system is teaching you the difference between discomfort that grows you and danger that shrinks you. Learn it, trust it, act on it. As we close this session, let your breath lengthen on the exhale by an easy count or two. Whisper the sentence that becomes your inner door frame. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather itself. Picture the sentence engraved on the switch behind your sternum. When story begins to sprint, touch the engraving, breathe, and check the signal. Then move your feet by 1 wise inch. That inch, taken again and again, is how a life changes without theatrics. What you practice today will change the next hour of your life. The signal story. Split stops imaginary fires from consuming your oxygen. Label and lean back gives your prefrontal cortex a chair to sit in while it chooses. The handle hunt aims your RAS at what you can touch. The emotional alchemy ladder trains your language to carry feeling without letting it drive. Together, they turn noise into navigation. You'll still feel, you'll still care, but you'll steer from contact, not from rumor. Carry this forward now. On the commute, in the kitchen, at the threshold of a hard conversation. Run the split, tag the thought, find the handle, climb 1 rung. Speak softly to yourself and take the smallest wise action available. That is the Stoic Switch in motion. That is you becoming trustworthy to yourself when life gets loud. Noise steals focus not because you're weak, but because your brain is built to answer anything that looks like movement, novelty, or threat. A notification is all three. When life gets loud, you don't need more willpower. You need an environment and a ritual that tilt your biology toward one thing on purpose. Today you'll build deep focus the same way you built steadiness, with a body-first switch, clear frames, and tiny choices. You're going to craft a space inside the noise, a field where your attention sticks to what matters long enough to finish it. The promise is practical. Fewer half-starts, more clean finishes, and a nervous system that trusts you to carry a thought all the way to done without burning out. Settle where you are. Feel the weight of your thighs against the chair and the quiet pressure of fabric on your skin. Let the inhale cool your nostrils and the exhale leave warmer, like mist on a mirror. Drop your shoulders 1 notch, widen your gaze until you can sense the edges of the room without moving your eyes. That one move alone turns down your threat response. Soft eyes tell your midbrain the perimeter is clear, freeing your prefrontal cortex for planning. This is where focus begins, in signals of safety, not speeches about discipline. Here's your first framework today, the Focus Field Protocol. Imagine unrolling a mat in the middle of a busy room and declaring, inside this rectangle, I choose one thing. You create the field in 4 small moves that take less than a minute. First, you set your horizon. Pick a point 6 meters away, a door frame, a window edge, and hold a gentle gaze there for 20 seconds. Distance cues the nervous system away from tunnel vision, which is built for threat. Second, you run one 4 to 4-6 breath and feel your ribs move under your palms. Third, You speak a North Star sentence for the next block of work, one sentence that a camera could verify. Draft the first email paragraph, reconcile April invoices, outline the talk intro. Last, you remove one friction within reach. Phone face down in another room, notifications on Do Not Disturb, one tab only. No heroics, just physics. Your reticular activating system will now look for evidence that matches your sentence. You've given the stage manager a script, a story from a real desk. Leah works in an open-plan office where conversations carry and someone always has a question. Monday at 2:10 p.m., he needs to outline a client strategy doc, and his mind keeps snagging on Slack pings and a half-written message to a friend. He feels the flutter in his stomach and the heat in his cheeks that says, "Hurry," without helping. He clicks the Stoic Switch, 446, Focus Field Protocol. His eyes rest on the conference room exit sign for 20 seconds. His breath lengthens. He writes his North Star sentence on an index card by his keyboard. Write 3 bullet-free paragraphs that define the client's problem. He flips the phone face down and physically pushes the messaging window 1 inch off screen until it's gone. The room didn't change. Leo did. 15 minutes in, a teammate taps his shoulder. Old habit says, answer. New habit says, clean line from yesterday's work. I'm heads down for 30. I'll swing by at 2:45. The teammate nods and vanishes. At 2:44, Leo has a clean outline and a quieter chest. The doc ships in minutes, not hours. Focus wasn't a mood, it was a field he assembled. Notice your mouth now. Let your tongue rest heavy, lips soft. That tiny slack is a message to your vagus nerve. We're not under attack. We can invest energy in thinking, not checking exits. The more often you pair that slack with a North Star sentence, the faster your attention will settle next time. That's neuroplasticity again, repetition carving grooves. Distraction won't disappear. It will visit. So you need a reset that takes 2 breaths. Use the 2-step sigh. It's a double inhale, one long, then a short top-up, followed by a slow, unforced exhale through the mouth. The second sip of air pops open small sacs in your lungs that collapse under stress. The long exhale signals the brake pedal. When your mind scatters, you don't scold it. You sigh twice. You name where it went. You come back. Call this name-claim return. You say, went to checking the news, not helpful. Return to sentence 1. Each return is a rep that strengthens the part of you that chooses. That part is who you are training to lead. Here's the science bridge to keep it honest. Focus is a conversation between 3 networks: a salience network that flags what's important, an executive network that holds the plan, and a default mode network that loves wandering through memory and prediction. Stress weights the salience network toward threat. Novelty hijacks it too. Long exhales and horizon gaze rebalance the salience vote. A single specific sentence gives the executive network something to grip. The 2-step sigh quiets your CO2 alarms. None of this is magic. It's levers pulled in order. You'll add a second framework to make starting easier than avoiding. Call it the task start bridge. Avoidance is usually a friction problem disguised as laziness. The bridge has 3 planks you walk in under a minute. You lower the entry bar until it's laughably small. You pair it with a bodily cue, and you set a micro-timer. The sentence sounds like this in your mouth. Open the doc and write an ugly first sentence while your shoulders drop, and the timer runs for 3 minutes. The body cue matters. When you anchor action to a sensation, shoulders dropping, tongue resting, feet pressing the floor, your brain can find the sequence later without debate. 3 minutes matter because your dopamine system loves completed loops. When you stop on purpose at 3, you choose whether to continue. Most days, you will. On bad days, you still logged a rep. Your identity shifts by counted reps, not by speeches. A kitchen table story, because focus is as domestic as it is professional. Marisol is studying for an exam while her toddler naps. Dishes glare from the sink, her phone hums, her chest tightens with the thought it's already too late. She clicks the switch and walks the bridge. Plank 1, the target shrinks to 1 page of notes. Plank 2, she pairs reading with a steady palm on her belly. Plank 3, she sets a 5-minute timer. 2 times through, her eyes drift to the dishes. 2-step sigh, name, claim, return, wandered to the sink. Not now, finish the page. When the nap ends, she hasn't finished the unit. She has finished 2 pages and installed a pattern she can reuse tomorrow. The exam goes fine. More important, her nights feel less like failure and more like small, honest wins. Feel the temperature of your fingertips. Rub your palms together until heat blooms, then place 1 palm at the base of your skull for 1 breath and feel the skin warm. That touch is a reminder that you are not a browser with 100 tabs. You are a human with a neck and a spine and a choice. You are the awareness, not the emotion, not the urge to click, not the tide of everyone else's schedules. When you act from that awareness, pressure becomes a current you can swim with, not a wave that flips you. Focus has a rhythm. Your brain runs in ultradian waves, periods of higher energy that last roughly 90 minutes, followed by natural dips. You don't have to worship the number. You just have to respect the wave. Work with it. Build your focus field for 45 to 50 minutes, then recover for 5 to 10 with eyes on a distant point. A glass of water, a short walk, and no scrolling. Call it the 50-10 focus wave. Recovery is not indulgence. It's oxygen for the next block. If you push through the dip, your work quality slides while your stress climbs, and you pay later with a brain that resists starting tomorrow. A story from a late afternoon. Nia leads a small marketing team. Campaign launch is Thursday. Tuesday at 3:20, her body is heavy and her eyes burn. Old Nia would caffeinate and brute force another hour, then rewrite it all at night. New Nia runs a 10-minute wave recovery. She looks through the window at a tree line for 60 seconds, letting her eyes relax into distance. She drinks water and feels the cool path down her throat. She walks 1 lap around the block with her phone in airplane mode. Back at her desk, she rebuilds the focus field and writes her North Star sentence, finalize customer story draft. The words land in a single pass. That night she reads with her kid instead of carrying the half-finished story in her jaw. The launch still has scrapes. It doesn't scrape her. Notice your breathing again. Let the exhale be 1 count longer than the inhale. Hear the softest sound you can find in the room. This is you, practicing the micro-recovery you'll use between calls, between paragraphs, between sentences said under pressure. Without recovery, focus hardens into brittleness. With recovery, focus becomes a muscle that can hold and release without tearing. Interruptions will test your field. You'll use tools you already own. When someone reaches for your attention mid-block, you run the clean line. I'm in a 40-minute focus block. I'll circle back at 10 past. If they press, you repeat the line and offer 1 sentence they can send that will help you answer fast later. You're not guarding a fortress, you're scheduling your generosity. That boundary protects quality and shortens the time you owe them. Everyone wins because context switching kills work for you and for them. Start friction sneaks in through clutter too. Visual noise is cognitive load. Before you open the work, clear 1 square foot of your space. Stack the papers. Close the extra window. Place an object that signals focus. A pen, a white card with your sentence, a small stone your hand can rest on. It's not superstition. It's a cue. Your nervous system loves clarity it can see. You'll carry this into relationships as well. Focus is not only for tasks, it's for listening. When someone you care about speaks, build a pocket, focus field around your attention. Horizon gaze to their shoulder line for a second to soften your eyes. 1446, North Star sentence in your mind. Understand their actual need. Name, claim, return when your mind jumps to solutions. You'll feel your chest widen when you give someone your unbroken attention for even 2 minutes. They'll feel it too. It changes outcomes because understanding is leverage, a story to show that leverage. Aaron and Jess have argued for weeks about money. Each conversation scatters within 30 seconds into blame and old history. Tonight, they agree to try a different way. Aaron builds the field for listening. Jess speaks for 2 minutes while he breathes lightly and watches the horizon over her shoulder instead of her eyes, which for him feel intense. He repeats back 1 sentence he heard. They switch. In 20 minutes, they identify 1 handle, an automatic transfer on the first day of the month, and a Saturday check-in that isn't a courtroom. The problem wasn't lack of love. It was lack of focus under threat. Field first, then words. Feel the chair under you again. Let your spine lengthen like someone gently pulled a thread at the crown of your head. Press your feet into the floor and feel the pressure rise up your calves. This is the posture of a person who can hold a thought and a feeling at the same time. That's the mark of maturity under noise, simultaneous capacity. You'll meet a special kind of distraction, the one that looks like productivity, research, tool tweaking, planning the plan. When you catch yourself optimizing instead of doing, you don't shame yourself. You use the task start bridge with a twist. You commit to the smallest ugly version in 2 minutes. Ugly first lines, ugly first slide, ugly first chord if you're learning music. Your brain prefers completing ugly to imagining perfect. Dopamine follows closure. Perfection kills momentum. You will also meet low energy. No ritual can conjure sleep you didn't get. On those days, you lower the bar and keep the pattern. You run a focus field for 20 minutes instead of 50. You build wins so tomorrow's brain doesn't fear your desk. Sustainability is stoic. Martyrdom is theater. When the volume around you spikes, sirens outside, kids upstairs, the neighbor drilling during your call, you can still find a field. You shrink it until it fits inside your breath. Horizon gaze is now the far corner of the room. North Star sentence is 1 line spoken clearly. Friction removal is closing your eyes for 5 seconds and opening them into soft focus. 2 minutes of steady attention in chaos is a victory that trains your identity more than 2 hours of forced grind in silence. You are proving to yourself that you can make weather inside weather. 1 last story, quiet and quick. Hannah is a nurse on a packed shift. Alarms chirp, families hover, charts multiply. She cannot block the world for an hour. She can build microfields. At each doorway, she rests her gaze on the hallway exit sign for 1 breath, drops her shoulders, and whispers her sentence. Be exactly with the person in front of you. She runs the two-step sigh when monitors chorus. She uses clean lines that set expectations kindly with families. At 3 a.m., she sits, drinks water, looks at the parking lot lights for 30 seconds, and lets her jaw soften. She still feels tired and human. She also feels the quiet of someone steering. You came here to become steady when life gets loud. Focus is steadiness in motion. The focus field protocol gives your body a way to gather itself, your mind a sentence to serve, and your attention a perimeter it recognizes. The Task Start Bridge gives you a way to begin on days when beginning feels like lifting a car. The two-step sigh and name-claim return bring you back without drama. The 50-10 wave keeps you human while you make things that matter. You will still drift. You will still be interrupted. The victory is how quickly you come home. Before you close this chapter, picture the next block of work or listening you will do. See yourself set a horizon. Breathe, speak your sentence, and remove one friction. See the minutes stack like clean bricks. Feel your chest get lighter as you finish, not because the work was small, but because your field was strong. You are the awareness behind the weather, and in your field, the storm is just a sky with patterns you know how to read. You don't wrestle it. You trim the sail. You hold the line. You move. Carry that into the next hour. Build a field. Walk the bridge. Recover without apology. Return without self-judgment. This is not about chasing a perfect day. It's about building a reliable one. You, steady, inside the noise, doing one thing well. Some days the loudest sound isn't criticism from the world. It's the thud in your chest after you make a mistake. You send the wrong file. You snap at someone who didn't deserve it. You forget a promise you meant to keep. The body registers it first. Heat climbs your neck. Your stomach drops like an elevator. Your breath turns thin. Shame is a fast storyteller. It says you are the mistake, and if you don't fix everything now, you'll be exiled from the tribe. That story makes people defensive or invisible. Stoic steadiness offers a third path. You can repair, not with heroic speeches, but with a small, clean move that proves to your body and to the room that you are trustworthy again. Today, you'll learn how to turn missteps into trust within minutes, and how to debrief the day so tomorrow's you inherits fewer landmines. Settle for a moment. Feel the cool air at your nostrils and the gentle warmth leaving on the exhale. Let your tongue rest heavy behind your teeth. Loosen the skin around your eyes by half a shade. Place your palm over your sternum and notice bone, pressure, pulse. The contact is a truth signal. You're here, in a body, not in a courtroom. Your nervous system needs this reminder because shame can shove you into freeze or fight faster than any other emotion. A longer exhale and a warm hand on the chest tell the vagus nerve to ease the brake. When the brake returns, choice does too. Here's the first framework you'll use for the rest of your life. Call it the repair triangle. Picture 3 corners you can touch in one breath. Acknowledge the fact, name the impact, offer one small amends. You click the Stoic Switch, breathe, 4 to 4 to 6 twice, and speak a sentence that moves along those corners without detour. It sounds like this in your mouth when spoken slowly and low. I cut you off in the meeting. It undercut your point. I want to hear it now, and I'll wait until you finish. The order matters. Fact grounds you in something a camera could verify. Impact shows you are not defending your image. You're tending to the effect. The amends is tiny and immediate. No speeches about your intentions, no self-flagellation that forces the other person to comfort you. You repair the plank under your feet. The triangle keeps your dignity because it is an act of authorship, not a plea. Use it in a live room. You're in a project review, and your team member, Lena, is walking through her data. You're tense about the deadline, and you jump in, speaking over her. You see her shoulders rise and her hands fold. Old you would push through and tell yourself you'll smooth it later. Switch, 4-4-6, repair triangle in one breath. I interrupted. That was disrespectful. Finish your point, and then I'll ask questions. You lean back an inch and make eye contact that says, take the floor. The room resets. After the meeting, you add a second sentence. I want us to debate hard and still respect turns. I'll hold mine better. You didn't grovel. You restored a norm. Your own body feels taller because repair is a competence, not a confession. Notice the temperature of your hands. Rub your palms together until heat blooms. Then let one hand rest on the back of your neck for one breath. Shame constricts the back line of the body, the nape, the jaw hinge, the diaphragm. Warmth and long exhale loosen that armor. When your muscles release a notch, your mind stops inventing punishments and starts looking for handles. Science bridge, short and simple. Shame floods the system with threat. The amygdala fires. The prefrontal cortex goes dim. The dorsal branch of the vagus can shove you toward collapse. You don't out-argue chemistry, you escort it. Humming for 30 seconds, a long exhale, or a slow shake of the arms completes stress loops your body would otherwise trap. When chemistry recedes, you can access words that land. That's why the repair triangle is body first, language second. A story of a near ruin that became a turn. Matteo manages a small sales pod. On Wednesday, pressure peaking, he sends a snarky message in a public channel about an ops delay. He feels the sting, then the immediate rationalization. 10 minutes later, he catches his own breath shortening and the color draining from his teammate's face. Old Matteo would go silent and hope the thread sinks. Today, he walks across the floor. Switch. Breath. Repair triangle in front of people. In one calm sentence. I posted a snarky line about the delay. It made your team look careless. I'm removing it, and I'll own the delay context in the client call. Ops, lead blinks, then nods. The thread gets cleaned. The call goes fine. More important, the story that spreads isn't that Matteo is harsh. It's that he repairs fast and clean. Trust rises because he moved toward the mess, not away. Feel your feet press into the floor. Let the toes spread inside your shoes. Listen for the farthest sound you can hear, maybe traffic or a ventilation hum, and place it behind your attention like a low chord. You are widening the window on purpose. Repairs spoken from contraction sound like defense. Repairs spoken from a widened field sound like leadership. Repair is the acute skill. Debrief is the chronic one. After storms, big or small, you need a ritual that metabolizes the day so you don't carry stale adrenaline into tomorrow. Use the 24-hour debrief loop. Sometime before you sleep or within the first coffee of the next morning, you tell yourself 4 short passages, each under a minute, each written or spoken softly. You recount what happened in signals, not stories. You name the weather you felt, like a meteorologist with a kind voice. You name the value that mattered, reliability, respect, clarity, and you set one micro change for next time, an if-then plan that takes less than a minute to execute. It sounds like this in a kitchen light. The client asked for a change at 5:30. My chest tightened and I rushed the reply. The value was clarity under time pressure. Next time, if a late request lands, then I'll breathe once, ask one question, and schedule the work. That loop is less than 3 minutes. It rewires prediction from dread to plan. Run it on something tender. You raised your voice at someone you love over a stupid logistics tangle. Later, when the house is quiet and your chest is softer, you sit on the edge of the bed and speak the loop barely above a whisper. What happened? We both tried to talk at once about Saturday, and I escalated volume first. Weather, heat in my face, tunnel vision. Value, respect, and partnership. Change. If we both talk at once, then I'll lift a hand, say, "Let me hear you to the end," and then I'll ask for a turn. You sleep better because your system isn't trying to solve last night's weather while lying still. In the morning, you keep the small plan. By noon, there's a notch of trust where an apology alone couldn't reach. Let the back of your eyes soften again. Breathe out longer than you breathed in. Touch your fingertips together lightly and feel the small thrum of blood. You are the awareness hosting the weather, not the weather. When you hold that identity, you can admit fault without collapsing into it. Sometimes you won't be ready to repair immediately. Your chemistry will be too hot. Your words would smear. That's fine. Give yourself 90 seconds to complete the stress cycle. I call it the somatic drain valve. Step into a hallway or bathroom. Inhale, then hum your exhale down your sternum so you feel a vibration under your palm. Shake your hands from the wrists for 10 seconds. Yawn on purpose, even if it's fake at first. Yawns are signals your body understands as downshift. Run cool water over your wrists or splash your face once, then return and use the repair triangle. 2 minutes is less than the time you'd spend cleaning up a defensive speech. Your body is not a hurdle to repair. It's the handle that makes repair possible. Here's a story from a dining room with bad lighting and good intentions. Kiara hosts friends, burns the garlic, and snaps at her partner when he offers to stir. The table hears it. Silence lands like a plate. Kiara feels the spike of shame and the urge to perform a laugh-it-off monologue. Instead, she steps into the kitchen doorway. Somatic, drain valve, hum, shake, water. She returns and speaks at the table edge so her voice carries but doesn't push. "I snapped a minute ago. That put you on edge, and that's not how I want tonight to feel. I'm starting fresh, and I'll ask for a hand in a normal tone." The room resets. Later, she runs the 24-hour debrief loop while loading the dishwasher. Next time, if I'm cooking under time pressure, then I'll ask for help before I get hot. The next dinner is gentler because she built a bridge between chemistry and choice. Notice your posture. Let your shoulder blades slide down your back. Imagine the crown of your head lifting slightly toward a quiet skylight. This is not cosmetic. It's a signal to your system that you have room to be honest. Honesty is easier to carry when your spine is a mast, not a hook. There's one more frame to tuck in your pocket, the one that rebuilds your relationship with yourself after you break a promise to you. Call it the tiny integrity loop. You choose one small promise for the next 24 hours that you can complete in under 5 minutes. You write it down where your eyes will stumble over it. You do it as scheduled. Then you record a single line. Kept. This is not about streaks. It's about deposits in your trust account. Your brain learns you are someone whose actions match their commitments in tiny, boring ways. That identity travels with you into bigger rooms. When you do miss, the loop says, repair with yourself too. Acknowledge. Name the impact. My plan got fuzzy and I feel scattered. Then pick the next microscopic promise and keep it. You are not punishing, you are practicing reliability. A workplace vignette shows how loops and triangles weave. Ava promises herself and her team she'll ship the weekly summary by Friday noon. She misses it by hours, and the team starts their weekend answering questions the summary would have covered. Monday, she feels the heat of embarrassment and the temptation to oversell why. Switch 446. Repair triangle in the Monday stand-up. I missed the noon summary Friday. That created Friday afternoon churn. I'll own the gap, and the new rule is that the draft publishes Thursday 5 p.m. with any edits Friday by 10. Then she runs the tiny integrity loop privately. Thursday at 4:30, open the doc and write the first paragraph. She sets a calendar anchor and pairs it with a hand-on-belly breath. 2 weeks later, the summary is boringly on time. Trust is bored too. That's the goal. Let your jaw unclench. Place your tongue on the roof of your mouth and feel the palate warm. Hear the smallest sound again. You're rehearsing the feel of a nervous system that can hold truth without bracing. This is the adult trait you came for, to be in right relationship with reality, even when you are the one who made a dent in it. What if the other person isn't ready to accept repair? The repair triangle still protects your side of the bridge. You speak the sentence, and then you give space. You don't force a resolution to soothe your own discomfort. You say, I interrupted. That put you on edge. I'll listen now, and I'll check in tomorrow if you'd rather wait. Then you actually check in tomorrow. Your nervous system might itch to chase reassurance. You'll ease the itch with the somatic drain valve and with the 24-hour debrief loop. The point isn't to erase the dent instantly, it's to become the kind of person who reliably gets out the tools. A brief story where the room stays loud. Day apologizes to a client for a missed spec. The client stays cold, asks for escalation. Old Day would spiral into self-attack or counterattack. New Day runs the triangle without flourish, then adds a boundary that honors the value of clarity. I've owned the miss and proposed the fix. I won't argue this by email. I'm available for a 15-minute call today to agree on the path. The client takes the call. They repair the work, not each other's egos. Day debriefs, writes, next time, if a spec changes day of, then I'll send a confirm message with the exact line number. The job improves because the person improved. Feel the cool of your breath again, the warm return. Press your heels subtly into the floor and sense the calves wake. Your body is the instrument that tunes your words. When you treat it that way, your words sound like music, even when they carry difficult notes. You may worry that repair makes you soft or invites exploitation. Clarity protects you here. The repair triangle is not a surrender. It is a lever you pull only on your side of the hinge. You don't accept false blame. You don't apologize for existing. You aim at observable facts and specific impacts. If someone tries to draft you into endless confession, you use a clean line from earlier chapters. I've named my part and my action. I won't keep relitigating it. If there's a specific request, state it. Calm doesn't mean compliant. Steadiness means you can hold a line and hold a heart in the same body. When regret surfaces at 1 a.m., you'll be tempted to rehearse pain. Walk instead. Stand. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly, and pace slowly for 90 seconds while breathing 4-4-6. Whisper the loop. What happened? Weather, value, one small change. Put a glass of water to your lips and feel the cool path downward. Then put the card on your nightstand that reads, kept, and write one tiny promise for tomorrow. You're not escaping consequence. You're ensuring that consequence produces wisdom rather than residue. One more small story, because the moments that shape you rarely announce themselves. You hit reply all with a candid note meant for one person. You feel the wave slam your rib cage. Switch. Breath. Repair triangle to the thread, clear and brief. I sent a candid note to all by mistake. It created confusion and exposed a tone that should have been private. I'm owning it. Here's the clarified request, and I'll follow up one-to-one where needed. Then you send 3 direct notes that own impact without angling. That evening, you open your notebook and debrief the sensation in your body and the value you care about. Respect in writing. You set a micro change. If I'm sending candid feedback, then I'll write it as if it were public, or I'll walk over and say it out loud. The next month contains fewer landmines because this month had one that you mined for lessons. As we close, breathe out to a count of 6 and feel your shoulders unhook. Tap your thumb against each finger once, a tiny metronome that pairs action with calm. Say quietly, I am the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Hear how that sentence makes room for repair without self-erasure. You are not aiming for a life without mistakes. You are building a life where mistakes turn into craft, where your body knows how to steady, your mouth knows how to own, and your feet know the next inch of wise movement. Carry the repair triangle into the next hour. Speak one sentence that restores a plank. Run the 24-hour debrief loop tonight or first thing tomorrow. Keep a tiny promise to yourself and write the word kept where you can see it. That's how trust grows, quietly, like roots. When life gets loud again, and it will, you won't pretend you're invulnerable. You'll be something better, reachable, responsible, steady. Uncertainty is the loudest drummer in the room. It bangs without rhythm, then vanishes, then returns at midnight when your guard is down. A rumor of change at work, a text that says, we need to talk, a calendar invite with no agenda. Your body surges before your mind catches the stick. You try to make it stop by making a decision fast, any decision, as if speed could buy silence. Or you stall, scroll, research, ask 3 more people, pretend that if you wait long enough, the world will pick for you. Both moves exhaust you. Today you'll learn to steer in fog without wasting your fuel. You'll trade panic decisions and paralysis decisions for something saner. A practiced way to see clearly, choose lightly, and move one honest inch even when the map is blurry. This is Stoic steadiness applied to ambiguity where it counts. Settle where you are. Feel the chair hold your weight. Notice the pressure under your thighs, the contact of fabric on your skin. Let cool air slide into your nose and warmer air leave your mouth like a small sigh. Soften your jaw by a few grams. Widen your gaze to include the edges of the room, the left corner of the screen, the dark line of the doorframe. Your body is telling your midbrain the perimeter is clear. When the perimeter is clear, your prefrontal cortex can spend energy on choice instead of defense. This is how decisions begin, with enough oxygen to think. Here's the first framework, a compass you can draw in the air with your finger. Call it the clarity compass. Picture 4 directions that you touch in order so you don't mistake anxiety for data. North is values, what matters here beyond comfort. East is facts, what a camera would record without adjectives. South is options, the 2 to 3 smallest wise moves you could make within an hour. West is costs, what each option asks you to pay in time, energy, money, or reputation. The center of the compass is your move. 1 inch you commit to now, while keeping the horizon open. You run the Stoic Switch, breathe 4-4-6 twice, then walk the compass clockwise. Values, facts, options, costs, move. The order matters. Values first, so fear doesn't pick. Facts next, so stories don't white-knuckle the wheel. Options and costs to restore agency. Then a move to keep momentum. You aren't trying to see the whole road. You're choosing the next step on solid ground. Try it on something real. Maybe there's a conversation you've avoided for weeks. Breathe. North, the value is respect and clean collaboration. East, facts include 2 missed deadlines, 1 ambiguous message you wouldn't understand if you were a stranger, your own silence. South, options are to ask for 15 minutes with a shared doc open, to send a 3-sentence summary of where you are and where you're blocked, or to escalate without a conversation. West, costs, asking directly costs discomfort now, and likely saves churn. Sending a summary costs 10 minutes and courage, escalating costs relationship credit. Center, the move you choose is to write the 3-sentence summary and add 1 question. How do you want to distribute the next steps? You hit send with a long exhale and stand to get water. Your chest opens because you moved from values, not from panic. Notice the warmth gather in your palms if you rub them together. Rest 1 hand on your sternum and feel bone and pulse. Sensory contact converts decisions from abstractions into action. Your body learns that choice can feel like this: steady, warm, incremental. Here's the science bridge to keep your feet honest. Under uncertainty, your prediction machinery searches for pattern. When it can't find one, the amygdala flags possible threat and narrows your vision. You grab the fastest-looking answer to end the discomfort, or you spin to delay the discomfort. Long exhale nudges the vagus nerve to release the brake gently, rather than slam it. Naming facts recruits, networks that dampen limbic alarms. Committing to a small move gives your dopamine system closure, so it stops begging for novelty. The compass externalizes what your brain is bad at doing internally under stress, seeing values, separating signal from story, picking a reversible step. You are not faking calm, you are building it. A story from a hallway that smelled like dry erase markers. Olivia leads a small engineering squad. A reorg rumor slithers through Slack at 4:10 p.m. Her chest tightens. She opens 6 tabs about the last reorg, pings a friend in another org, half writes an email to her boss, then deletes it. Old Olivia would stew until midnight and send a long message that tried to pre-argue every scenario. Today, she walks to the window and sets her gaze on a tree line. Switch, 4-4-6 twice, clarity compass. North. The value is shepherding her team through uncertainty without making up stories. East, facts. There is a calendar hold titled Org Update. Leaders are in a meeting. Nothing official has been said. South. Options. Ask her manager for a 2-sentence preview. Tell the team what she knows and what she doesn't at stand-up. Or say nothing and let rumor rule. West. Costs. Asking up risks being told to wait. Telling the team costs vulnerability. Saying nothing costs trust. Center. The move. Send her manager a clean line. I'm hearing rumblings. 1 sentence about what I can say to keep the team steady. Then she drafts a 2-minute note to her team for the morning that names facts and values and promises an update by 11. She closes the tabs. She sleeps. The reorg is real. Her team doesn't spin because she didn't. Feel the air touch the inside of your nostrils. Let the exhale slow like a tide going out. Tap thumb to fingers in a Slow 4 count as you breathe. Let that tiny drum anchor you. You're practicing choosing in fog, which is choosing while steady rather than choosing while scared. Uncertainty loves to shove you into binary traps. Jump or stay, speak or be silent, quit or endure. Binaries are dramatic but rarely accurate. You need a second tool that breaks the spell. Call it the decision dial. Instead of 2 choices, imagine 4 positions your decision can sit in for the next hour. Wait, probe, commit, or park. Wait means you do nothing for a specific amount of time while you run your nervous system protocols. No spinning, no doom scrolling, just a timer and breath. Probe means you take a small action designed only to gather information. 1 clarifying question, 1 5-minute test, 1 call to the person who knows. Commit means you take a reversible step with a clear check-in point. Send the first draft, block the calendar, order the sample size. Park means you put the decision on a labeled shelf for a defined window because it is not ripe yet, and you write the next date you'll touch it. The dial is not a personality test. It's a steering wheel. You turn it consciously to where your values and facts point. The act of turning reduces noise because your brain knows what you're doing. Practice on the medical test you won't get results for until Friday. The binary trap is obsess or ignore. Dial to wait for 60 minutes with breath and a walk, then to park until evening. Later, you dial to probe by writing 2 questions for the doctor and to commit by scheduling a fun plan for Friday night, regardless of outcome. Your nervous system settles because it has a timetable and actions that match reality. You didn't pretend not to care. You cared cleanly. Check your shoulders. Let them drop an inch with your next exhale. Feel the back of your eyes widen a fraction. This is you building a habit. Widen, then decide. When your field is larger, your choices are wiser and smaller. A story from a small apartment kitchen where rain tried the windows. Theo and Mira are weighing a move to a cheaper city after rent spikes. Every conversation turns into a tangle. What if, regret, blame, math that feels like weather. One night they pull plates from the cabinet and pull the compass onto the table. North, values are stability, time together that isn't spent worrying, work that feels meaningful. East, facts, current rent increase, Mira's remote flexibility, Theo's on-site requirement for now, family 2 hours away from the cheaper city. South, options, stay 1 year and renegotiate. Theo looks for internal roles that allow hybrid. Test 2 weeks in the cheaper city next month. Sublet for the summer. West, costs, staying costs money and some stress. Testing costs travel and logistics. Subletting costs uncertainty about storage. Center, the move. Dial to probe with a 2-week test in July and dial to commit to a conversation with Theo's manager on Monday about internal mobility. They write the 2 emails together. The room feels bigger. Notice nothing final has happened, yet something final feeling fades. Helplessness. Hear the softest sound in your space, maybe a distant engine or the hush of air through a vent. Place it behind your attention like a low hum. That hum is a reminder. Decisions are better when you're in contact with the world, not just with your thoughts about the world. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather itself. From that awareness, you can let a tide of feeling wash around your ankles without letting it sweep your feet out from under you. 2 micro drills install these frames. The first is the 90-second fact flush. Set a timer for 90 seconds and write nothing but facts about the decision at hand that a camera could capture. No adjectives, no mind reading, no predictions. The timer protects you from spinning. The page protects you from pretending. When the timer ends, you circle any sentence that starts with "I assume" and label it as story. Then you choose one small probe or commit move. The second is the horizon check. Stand and look out a window or at a far wall for 20 seconds while you breathe. 446, then speak your north and east out loud. Values, facts. This tells your body you're seeing beyond your fear and tells your mind what you're choosing from. 2 minutes, total. Done often, you will become the person who doesn't need perfect information to make a good choice. A brief scene where the stakes are reputational. Nora gets an invitation to speak on a panel. Part of her lights up, part collapses with the story that she'll get exposed. Her hands go cold. She wants to reply yes to end the discomfort, then cancel later and feel ashamed, or reply no to end the discomfort and feel small. Switch. 446. Fact flush. Invitation. Topic she knows. Date in 6 weeks. Audience of 200. Format Q&A. Values. Growth. Contribution. Not overcommitting to impress. Decision. Dial. Probe by asking for the question set and the other panelists. Wait for 48 hours to let novelty wear off. Commit to a 20-minute practice session with a friend if the questions align. She writes the email. Discomfort drops by half because she returned to authorship. She ends up saying yes, cleanly with prep, and answers 2 questions on stage that later lead to a client. She didn't force bravery. She designed it. Feel your fingertips press together lightly. Sense the thrum there. Let that thrum be a metronome for one more breath, longer on the out than the in. The more you pair long exhale with seeing options, the more your nervous system will allow you to see them next time. That's the groove you're cutting. You will encounter decisions where none of the options feel good. Stoicism doesn't promise comfort. It promises clarity and courage. When every path has a cost, you choose the cost that best serves your values across time. Add a lens that protects you from the tyranny of now. Call it the 10-10-10 calm lens. You ask, how will this choice matter in 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 months? The time ladder quiets urgency that doesn't belong and strengthens urgency that does. It moves you from impulse to integrity. You can run it in a breath. You don't need to be right forever. You need to be aligned enough to move. A story where the lens changes everything. Eden is burning out. She wants to resign in a blaze of clarity and reclaim her sleep. She runs the lens on the decision to quit Friday with no plan. 10 minutes, relief. 10 days, panic and bills. 10 months, a story about fleeing that still wakes her at night. She runs the lens on a different move. Ask for a 4-week partial leave while she hunts a role in a calmer team. 10 minutes, discomfort and pride swallowed. 10 days, interviews and 2 long walks. 10 months, a job she likes or a story that she left with a bridge intact. She chooses the second, runs the clarity compass to write the ask, and uses the decision dial to park the full resignation for 4 weeks. Her nervous system doesn't love any path. It can live in this one. 2 months later, she writes from a desk where she can hear herself think. Scan your body. Feel the temperature of your forearms. Notice how your breath changed when the option aligned with time. You are teaching your RAS to look for handles that serve future you, not just present relief. That is a discipline of love. Sometimes you'll make the best decision you can with the facts you have, and it will still sting. That's not failure, that's reality. Debrief decisions the way you debrief mistakes so you don't learn the wrong lesson. Use a light version of the 24-hour debrief loop. What I knew, why I chose, what emerged, what I'll adjust. Keep it under 3 minutes and end with one sentence of self-respect. I chose from values with the information I had. That line rebuilds trust in your decision maker, so you can make the next one without flinching. One more vignette, set under fluorescent lights in a hospital corridor. Armin must decide whether to fly home now or wait a day for more tests on a parent. The binary trap is stay or go, each carrying guilt. He walks to a window. Switch. Breath. Clarity. Compass. Values are presence and sanity. Facts are current stability. Physician's plan. Available flights. Options are to fly tonight, to wait for the morning briefing, to invite his sister to be there while he books for sunrise. Costs include exhaustion and missing information. Decision dial. Wait until morning briefing with the timer set for sleep. Probe by asking the nurse what typically changes overnight. Commit to the first flight after the briefing. Park nothing. He texts his sister, and the decision breathes. It still hurts. It hurts less like panic and more like love making a plan. Notice your jaw again. Let it unclench. Let your tongue rest heavy. Hear the far sound. In that held space, speak quietly. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. You can choose in fog. You can move without drama. You can steer with values even when you can't see the whole road. Practice now with something small so the muscle is there for something large. Pick a decision that's been pecking at your ankle. Run the 90-second fact flush. Walk the compass in order. Turn the dial to wait, probe, commit, or park, and say which aloud. Finish with a long exhale and 1 inch of action. Send the email, set the timer, ask the question, book the calendar. Your chest will widen by a centimeter. That centimeter is worth a mile over a month. As you close, imagine the next time uncertainty bangs on your ribs. See yourself pause, breathe, widen. See your finger draw a small compass in the air only you can see. Values north, facts east, options south, costs west. Move center. See your hand turn an invisible dial to probe for 10 minutes, then commit to one step. Picture yourself walking, not sprinting, into the choice. Feel the hum in your palms, the warmth in your chest, the quiet in your jaw. This is not the absence of fear. This is fear's rightful size. Carry these tools into the noise. The clarity compass makes your choices serve who you are. The decision dial gives you settings besides freeze and fling. The 90-second fact, flush, and the horizon. Check, keep your brain from hiring rumor as a consultant. The 10-10-10 calm lens protects your future from your present's panic. You will still make imperfect choices. You will make them more cleanly, and you will recover faster, and you will like the person making them more. When life gets loud, others will thrash. You will breathe, look far, and move an inch. Inch by inch, a path appears where the map was blank. That path is yours. Conflict isn't the enemy of steadiness. Confusion is. When criticism lands, your body hears a siren it learned in childhood. Danger to belonging. Heat leaps up your neck, your chest tightens, your vision narrows around the most threatening syllable. You either swing or shrink. Neither brings you closer to truth, resolution, or respect. Today, you'll turn feedback, fair or clumsy, into fuel, without letting it set your nervous system on fire. You will learn to hear what's useful, protect your dignity, and reply with a sentence that moves the room forward. This is not about being unbothered. It's about being unconfused while bothered. You can do that. The switch sits in the same place it always has, behind your sternum, waiting for your breath. settle first. Feel your seat, take your weight, and the floor push back into your feet. Inhale through your nose until the air turns cool at the bridge. Hold for 4, and let it leave your mouth warm and slow to 6. Soften your jaw. Widen your gaze to include the left edge of the room, a corner, a shadow. The wider field tells your midbrain the perimeter is safe. Safe enough to listen. Safe enough to choose. Your heart rate drops a notch. Your prefrontal cortex returns to its chair. Now we can work. Here's your first framework for handling heat in words, the 2-channel ear. Every piece of feedback carries 2 channels at once, the data channel and the need channel. The data channel is the filmable part. Deadlines missed, lines of code buggy, tone raised, expectation unclear. The need channel is the human part beneath the words, I want reliability, I need acknowledgement, I'm scared of looking bad, I want to feel considered. When criticism arrives and your amygdala flares, your ear collapses both channels into one, attack. The 2-channel ear keeps them distinct long enough for you to choose. The move is quick, switch, 4, 4, 6 twice. Then whisper in your head, data is X, need might be Y. You don't concede or confess, you sort. Then you answer one item from each channel. You speak to the filmable fact and to the human want. People relax when they feel seen and when the world gets specific. Practice on a low-stakes memory. A colleague wrote, your update was vague and late. Heat rises. 2-channel, ear. Data is timing and clarity. Need is reliability and certainty. Your reply becomes simple and steady. You're right. It went out at 5:40, not 5, and it lacked next steps. I'll publish at 4:30 on Thursdays with a bulleted summary up top. You didn't swallow your identity. You fed the need without sacrificing the truth that you are competent and growing. Feel the temperature difference between your forearms and the air. Let your tongue rest heavy. Hear the farthest sound in the room, a fan maybe, and place it behind your awareness like a quiet drone. You are the awareness hosting the weather, not the weather. From that place, even anger becomes information. You'll pair the 2-channel ear with a second framework that turns hot moments into small agreements. Call it mirror map move. When a critique lands, you mirror the observable, map the value or need you hear, then move the conversation 1 inch with a concrete next step. It sounds like this in your mouth, slow and unforced. You're saying the timeline slipped, and it created last-minute churn. You care about smooth handoffs. Here's the change I can make by Friday. Publish a draft by noon and lock changes by 4. Mirror trims the story to film. Map grants a person their dignity. Move keeps you both from swimming in circles. This is generous and firm, not submissive. A meeting room story to lay this in your bones. In a fluorescent-lit stand-up, Theo's manager says, your handoff is always messy. Theo's chest tightens and the old script loads. Always messy, I'm doomed. He hears the click. Switch, 4, 4, 6 twice. 2-channel. Ear, data might be last Friday's late mock and the unclear ticket. Need is predictability before demo. Mirror map move lands in a calm tone. You're pointing to Friday's mock landing at 6 and the ticket missing acceptance criteria. You want predictable cutoffs. I'll ship a noon draft and an updated ticket by 2 this week. Will that solve the churn? The room unknots. After the meeting, he runs his 24-hour debrief loop. What happened? Weather, value, micro change. Next Friday arrives quiet instead of hot. 1 sentence carried a week. Notice your shoulders drop as your breath lengthens. Feel your fingertips thrum when they touch. Small sensory anchors reclaim your steering wheel in rooms where voices echo and time compresses. With the wheel back, you can choose your posture when giving feedback too. You've built clean lines. Now you'll use their cousin meant for care and candor when you must speak a hard truth. Call it the kind spine. Same body, same breath, one friendlier shape. Fact, impact, request, care. It sounds like this, delivered in one steady breath. When the deck is updated at 11 p.m., the team spins late and bugs rise. Can we agree on a 5 p.m. freeze? And I'm glad you're pushing for polish. The care at the end is not sugar. It is context that keeps relationship oxygen flowing while you adjust behavior. Here's a kitchen table scene where conflict lives without declaring war. Maya and Jun are negotiating chores in a small apartment. That keeps reinventing dust. The old pattern is a loop. One sighs, the other defends. Both tally uncountable histories. Tonight, Maya tries the frameworks by the sink. Switch, 446. Two-channel ear. Data is dishes sat overnight. Need is reliability. Mirror map move. Dishes stayed until morning, and it added stress to your first call. You want predictable help. I'll do the sink before 9 p.m. on my nights. Kind spine to balance the ledger. When I cook, I'm spent by cleanup. Can we agree that the person who didn't cook owns dishes that night? And I appreciate that you handled laundry last weekend. The room doesn't turn cinematic. It turns livable. The cupboard door closes softly. Two people keep dignity and gain clarity. Love is made from this kind of sentence. Scan your senses. Cool air at the tip of your nose. Warmth leaving your lips. Weight of your thighs on the chair. This is how you keep conflict from choosing your body for you. You decide how you want to feel while you speak. The feeling is upright, not rigid, open, not exposed. Here's the science bridge underneath the poise. Criticism triggers error detection circuits in the anterior cingulate cortex. The amygdala flags threat. The default mode network spins stories about identity. Naming the data and the need recruits prefrontal and language regions that downregulate limbic heat. Long exhale activates vagal tone, so your heart stops sprinting. Mirroring reduces ambiguity. The brain loves agreement on facts, even when conclusions differ. Mapping values creates social safety. Oxytocin rises enough to make cooperation possible. This isn't persuasion theater, it's body physics for tense rooms. You'll install a micro drill that fits between a sting and a reply. Call it thank you, then to. When feedback lands, clean or clumsy, you say a sincere thank you, then ask two clarifying questions before you respond with any defense or plan. Thank you pauses the duel. The questions aim your RAS at data. What specifically didn't work from your seat? What would good look like next time in one sentence? If the critique is vague or global, your questions force it into film. If it's already specific, you confirm understanding and avoid shadowboxing. Your nervous system relaxes because the unknown shrinks. Run it live in your memory. A client says, "This wasn't what we wanted." Old you apologizes into vagueness or fights the fog. New you, thanks for saying it straight. What precisely missed? Tone, scope, or timing? And in one sentence, what would make this version a yes? You've turned heat into handles. You answer after you can see. Feel the base of your skull soften as your shoulders slide down. Press your thumb into the center of your palm for a beat and feel the tiny ache. This tactile cue pairs with thank you then to, so your body remembers to slow the mouth, and open the ears. Sometimes feedback is unfair or weaponized. Steadiness doesn't equal surrender. You still use two-channel ear to sort, you still mirror the filmable part, and then you set a boundary with the kind spine. A boss texts at midnight, you never prioritize right. Two-channel ear says data equals unclear priorities in Q3. Need equals control and predictability. Your reply the next morning, I'm hearing that Q3 priorities didn't match your expectations. Let's define top 3 outcomes for next week by noon today. I won't answer work texts after 8 p.m. I'll respond at 9 a.m. You are not a brick wall, you're a clear door. A hallway vignette where shame tried to draft someone into a sprint. Priyanka, new to her role, presents a forecast. A senior peer interrupts. This is naive. The room freezes. Priyanka feels heat explode in her cheeks and her hands go icy. Old Priyanka would rush an apology or shut down. She hears the inner click, switch, 446, two-channel ear. Data could be assumptions B and C. Need might be credibility. Thank you. Then 2 lands steady. Thanks for flagging that. Which assumption looks naive to you? Volume growth or churn? And if it were your model, what number would you plug there? The peer shifts from status display to specifics. The room leans forward. Priyanka writes the numbers, mirrors them aloud, maps the value, rigor, and moves to a next step. I'll update these 2 lines and send a version at 3. If you see another weak link, tag it. After, in the quiet of a stairwell, she hums her somatic drain valve and writes a 2-line debrief. What happened? Value. Next time, if then. That's how you metabolize public heat into private growth. Notice the taste in your mouth, neutral or metallic, and let a sip of water cool your tongue. Feel the path down your throat. Hydration and slow swallows are not trivial here. They are throat relaxers that return your voice when tightness steals it. Keep a glass nearby when you expect heat. You'll need a framework for giving feedback under pressure that doesn't turn you into an arsonist. Use the 3-lens candor: specificity, sufficiency, safety. Specificity means filmable facts. No always, no you are. Just time, place, behavior. Sufficiency means just enough to prompt change. Don't stack 5 issues to prove a case. Pick the one that moves the lever. Safety means you deliver with a calm face, a breath you can feel, and a line of care that frames the relationship. Before you speak, run a 10-second check. Can I name the film? Can I pick the one change? Can I keep my voice low and my jaw soft? If not, you're not ready. Walk the hall, then return and try again. A story from a startup where speed turns hands clumsy. Ren sends a late-night Slack to Dan. This code is trash. The next morning, Dan arrives armored. The team crackles. Their manager, Aaliyah, calls a 3-minute huddle. She breathes once, softens her jaw, and uses 3-lens candor on Ren with the team listening. Last night at 12:14 you wrote, "This code is trash" on PR nub 4482. It shut Dan down and didn't help the fix. Next time, comment on the specific lines and propose the change. And if it's hot, write it in the morning. I care about speed and respect. Both need to live here. Ren's face hardens, then loosens. Dan's shoulders drop. They reopen the PR together. The team learns from a correction without inheriting ricochet shame, the spray that happens when feedback is more heat than handle. Let your eyes find a far point again and soften to it. Breathe 4-4-6 once. Hear the room hum. You are building a body that can carry candor without turning brittle. That makes you rare and useful. When feedback hits your identity, you're not leadership material. You will want to fight or collapse. Don't do either. Run a heavier protocol called the identity buffer. It has 4 steps you can whisper to yourself. Switch. Label the thought as a thought. I'm having the thought that this defines me. Widen to the horizon for 10 seconds so your nervous system remembers time exists. Ask one lineage question. What skill would change this verdict over the next 90 days? Then pick 1 inch. The buffer leaves your dignity intact because you've placed the comment in time and turned it into a plan. You don't have to swallow someone else's shortcut label. You can extract the one practice hidden inside it. A short story from a glass elevator where titles matter. Ken is told, "You don't command a room." It hits hard. He wants to overcompensate or quit. Identity buffer, switch, thought tag, horizon. Lineage question reveals one skill, concise starts. He designs a tiny practice. Every meeting, his first sentence will be a 1-line North Star. 2 weeks later, the same exec nods as Ken sets a crisp frame. No swagger, no theater, just a person who trained one muscle on purpose. Feel your hands, warm now, and place one lightly on your sternum. Whisper the sentence that threads through this chapter. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Feedback is weather. Your job is to sail, not to prove there should be no wind. Before we close, build a 5-minute drill you can run weekly to keep your ear clean and your spine kind. It's called the feedback sanctum. You step away from noise, by a window, in a stairwell, on a bench. You breathe 4 to 4-6 twice. You write 2 lines of feedback you owe and 2 lines of feedback you fear. For each, you draft 1 kind spine sentence and 1 mirror map move version. You speak them out loud once so your ears join your mouth. You schedule 1 conversation. Then you put your hand on your chest and say, out loud but soft, I carry care and I carry clarity. Your nervous system pairs these words with breath. You return to work with less residue and more structure. 1 last vignette for courage. A friend pulls you aside after an event and says, "You made that story about you." Your stomach drops. Old you would say, "I was just trying to connect," and deliver a defense disguised as context. New you feels the switch click. 2-channel ear, data equals your anecdote redirected the moment. Need equals being seen and not overshadowed. Thank you then. 2. Thanks for the honesty. Which part felt hijacked for you? And what would have felt like support there? They name it. Mirror map move. I repeated your punchline and then added mine. It erased your moment. Next time, I'll amplify and stop. Kind spine to yourself. Later, when I'm nervous, I grab the mic. The skill is letting silence do the holding. You practice at the next dinner by asking a question and saying nothing after the answer for 3 slow breaths. The room glows differently. So do you. Notice the temperature on your cheeks. Feel your breath finish its arc longer out than in. Hear the faintest sound and let it sit like a distant buoy in your awareness. This is the shape of you, when you can carry sharp words without letting them slice your worth. You can choose what to absorb, what to lay down, and what to turn into action. That is steadiness, not stoicism, as stone. It is warm, it is kind, and it is unconfused. Carry the 2-channel ear, mirror map move, the kind spine. Thank you. Then 2, 3 lens, candor, the identity buffer, and your feedback sanctum into the next loud hour. Speak 1 sentence that trims heat into handle. Ask 2 questions that turn fog into film. Accept 1 truth without perforating your self-respect. Offer 1 boundary that keeps both people human. You will leave rooms better than you found them, not because you won, but because you made space for reality to be clear. Steadiness isn't only psychology, it's physiology paid forward. You can't outthink a nervous system that's running on fumes any more than you can negotiate with a phone at 2% battery. When your body budget is overdrawn, small frictions sound like sirens, tiny requests feel like verdicts, and your Stoic Switch has to swim upstream. Today you'll build the quiet, boring power that keeps your baseline calm even when the room goes loud. Not hacks, systems. You'll learn how to run your energy like a craftsperson, so the prefrontal part of you, the part that chooses, has oxygen when it matters. The promise is simple and radical. Fewer ambushes from biology, more days where you feel like yourself. Settle first. Feel the chair hold your weight. Notice the pressure under your thighs, the grain of fabric against your skin, the warm spread in your palms as you rub them together once. Inhale through your nose to 4, hold for 4, and let 6 leave your mouth like a soft ribbon. Soften your jaw by a hair, widen your gaze to the edges of the room until you can sense the left corner and the door frame. Peripheral vision tells your midbrain there's space. Space is where steadiness lives. Here's the first framework for your pocket, the body budget ledger. Picture a simple ledger you carry in your chest. Credits are inputs that stabilize your system: sleep, morning light, movement, protein, water, unhurried breaths, safe connection. Debits are drains: scroll spikes, late caffeine, skipped meals, fluorescent nights, constant alerts, rumination. You don't moralize the ledger, you manage it. At the start of a demanding day, you front-load credits so your Stoic Switch isn't trying to perform surgery with empty tanks. The move is tiny and repeatable. When you wake, you step into morning light for 3 minutes. Balcony, doorway, sidewalk, and you let your eyes take in distance while you breathe 4-4-6 once. You drink a glass of water and feel the cool path down your throat. You put something with protein in your mouth within an hour. That's it. Credits before inbox. Your reticular activating system starts the day filtering for handles, not alarms. Try a micro drill I teach to people who swear they don't have time. The 3-3-30 refuel. Anytime you feel your shoulders crawling toward your ears, you run 3 slow breaths, 3 slow sips of water, and 30 seconds of movement while keeping your jaw soft. The movement can be as small as rolling your shoulders, standing and shaking your wrists, or stepping to the window and back. 30 seconds is long enough to discharge static and short enough to be invisible to the room. Pair this drill with transitions you already have: before you open email, after a meeting ends, at the stove while water heats. Ledger credits accrue in spare change. A short story from a glassed-in office that felt like a fish bowl. Renata leads a small team through a product sprint. She wakes under a stack of alerts, grabs her phone in bed, and begins the day by bleeding credits. By noon her chest is tight, her eyes sting, and she writes sharp messages she regrets at 10 p.m. One Tuesday, she tries the ledger. She sits on the fire escape for 3 minutes and looks at the skyline while she sips water. She eats half a yogurt and a handful of nuts before slack. At 11:40, when the old script would spiral, she runs a 3-3-30, 3 breaths, 3 sips, 30 seconds of shoulder rolls by the window. She feels silly, then lighter. At 2, she stands during a call and walks the hallway twice instead of clicking through tabs. It isn't a transformation montage. It's a quiet day that doesn't crash. Her team notices that her tone lands warmer while still clean. By Friday, she's shipping the same volume without the edge that used to exhaust her. The product improves because the person did. Notice your skin temperature on your forearms, the slight cool where air touches. Let your tongue rest heavy behind your teeth. Hear the farthest sound you can catch, a vent hum, traffic, and place it behind your awareness like a low chord. This is you managing your ledger in real time, not with a spreadsheet but with sensation. Your body is where your budget lives. Science bridge, practical, and short. Your brain is an energy-hungry organ. When sleep is short or erratic, adenosine builds, fatigue feels like danger, and your amygdala votes threat more often, pushing blood away from planning into fuel. You're fleeing. Morning light cues your circadian clock to release cortisol at the right time and to start the melatonin countdown 12 to 16 hours later. Protein stabilizes blood sugar. Stable sugar stabilizes mood. Movement squeezes stress chemistry through your muscles like wringing a sponge. You don't need perfect metrics. You need consistent inputs that keep your nervous system from confusing tired with unsafe. A second micro-practice ties your ledger to presence, the sanctuary minute. Imagine an interior room just behind your sternum with a door, a small window, and the Stoic Switch on the wall. In 1 minute, you step in, close the door, click the switch, and look through the window at what's actually here. The steps are physical. Inhale to 4 and feel your ribs move. Place your palm where ribs meet belly. Exhale to 6 and soften your gaze. Whisper one sentence in this sanctuary, I choose 1 inch. Then you take that inch, write a subject line, ask a question, walk to the sink. You can run a sanctuary. Minute at a red light, outside a conference room, or standing in your kitchen. It doesn't remove the storm. It gives you a room with a roof inside it. Feel the weight of your feet now and the texture under your heels. Let your shoulder blades slide down as if warmed by sunlight. This widening is a ledger credit in disguise. Your vagus nerve listens. To keep credits from leaking at night, you'll build the second framework, the sleep gate protocol. Think of sleep like a gate that swings open when enough cues align. You don't force it, you catch it. The protocol has 3 quiet moves that take less than 15 minutes and require no perfection. I call them the 3 doors: head, hands, horizon. Head means you offload looping tasks onto paper, so your mind stops juggling. Write 1 card that starts with signal and ends with handle. Signal, deck due, handle, outline at 9:30 a.m. and place it on your nightstand. Hands means you dim the world with your hands. Switch off overheads, turn on 1 warm lamp, and put your phone in a bowl in another room so your hands can stop flinching. Horizon means you tell your eyes that the day is over. Look at a far point, a window, a framed picture, while breathing 4 to 4-6 twice. You've just told your nervous system, there is distance, the perimeter is quiet. We can lower the lights inside. That's the gate. If sleep doesn't come, you don't punish yourself. You run a 7-minute non-sleep deep rest, lying down, eyes closed, slow exhales, scanning from toes to scalp, and you let your body collect credits even if your mind stays awake. A story from a hallway with night shift lighting. Omar, a new parent, lies down at midnight with a phone buzzing on the nightstand and a brain that replays 3 unfinished emails. He scrolls, hoping to be tired, enough to drop. At 1:40, he's wired and hating himself. On Thursday, he tries the 3 doors. He writes 3 cards, signal, handle, time, places them face down. He puts his phone in a ceramic bowl by the front door and hears the cool ceramic click. He leaves only one lamp on and stares past it to the darkest corner of the room while breathing slow. He doesn't feel mystical. He feels less vertical. When his head hits the pillow and a story tries to bargain, he whispers, "Thanks, mind, it's on the card," and lets his eyes drift toward the idea of horizon, even in a small room. It still takes a while. It takes less. By the weekend, his nights are imperfect and merciful, and his mornings feel like a person arrived, not a ghost. Notice your breath now. Let the exhale unfurl a count longer than the inhale. Feel the back of your eyes widen. Place your palm against your sternum, the switch room, and sense the quiet thrum under bone. You're braiding physiology into identity. I am a person who tends my body budget, so my choices are funded. The ledger also asks you to audit your inputs during daylight. Loud days get louder when your stimulus diet is junk. The brain's novelty circuits aren't moral, they're mechanical. If you feed them a steady drip of outrage, glitter, and cliffhangers, your salience network learns to flag fireworks and ignore handles. You don't have to go monk. You give yourself an input fast for 15 minutes before deep work or hard conversations. During the fast, you avoid the 3 N's: news, notifications, and novelty. You walk to a window, let your eyes find distance, run a 3-3-30 refuel, and write one North Star sentence. Then you enter the room or open the document already steady. 15 minutes is enough to change what your RAS fetches, a small domestic scene. Lila and Joe keep arguing at 7 p.m., the hour when work residue and hunger wrap around them like a wet scarf. They try moving dinner 30 minutes earlier, walking around the block once before talking about logistics, and putting both phones in the kitchen phone bowl face down for that 30 minutes. The first night feels slightly staged. The third night feels like a home. Logistics still bump, voices don't spike. Ledger credits, not lectures, did that. Feel the temperature of your cheeks and the way air brushes the tiny hairs on your forearms. Press your thumb into the center of your palm and feel the tiny ache that wakes up your attention. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. The version of you who manages credits and catches sleep gates is not faking calm. They are building it like carpentry, one measured cut at a time. Here's a brief science bridge about burnout that will spare you self-judgment. Burnout isn't only too much work, it's too little replenishment and too little felt progress. Your dopamine system cares about closures more than applause. Pair the ledger with a closure ritual that takes 90 seconds. At the end of the day, stand, look at a far point, and speak 3 closures out loud. One thing you finished, one you moved, one you'll begin. Then touch the nightstand card that holds tomorrow's first inch. Your body hears exit music. Your mind stops sneaking back on stage. A story from a teacher's lounge with humming vending machines. Mara teaches 9th graders and loves them until May takes her bones. Lunch used to mean a frantic scroll, a bag of vending machine pretzels, and a vague dread. She tries a ledger day, morning light while unlocking her bike, protein at 7:15, 3 sanctuary minutes in an empty classroom at 11:58, door closed, hand on sternum, 1 inch chosen, print exit tickets. After school, she runs the closure ritual. Her classes are still loud. Her system is less so. In June, she doesn't hate the job she loved in September. That's ledger math, not personality. Notice your shoulders and let them descend a notch. Sense the back of your neck warm under your palm for 1 breath. Hear the smallest sound again, and let it sit like a distant buoy under the surface of your attention. This is what sustainable steadiness feels like from the inside. Not fireworks, just less static and more steering. 2 more micro drills stitch the ledger to your life without drama. The first is the stairwell sweep. Anytime you move between floors or rooms, you take 20 seconds to sweep your senses: feet, air at the nose, temperature on skin, sound in the periphery. You name one tiny credit you can add in the next 5 minutes. Drink water, open a window, eat a handful of nuts. You do it. The second is the red line rule. After 2 p.m., you protect sleep gates by switching caffeine for water or tea, and by dimming overhead light 2 hours before bed. Lamps over stadium lighting. Light is a drug your eyes drink. Dose it like a grown-up. A brief story from a founder who liked to sprint until he fell. Nate prided himself on heroic pushes and kept recruiting his future self to clean up. Half his emergencies were adrenaline habits. He ran the ledger for a month like an experiment. Morning light. Red line rule. Input fasts before investor calls. Sleep gate with 3 doors. He expected boredom, he found room. His pitches sharpened because his words came from oxygen, not from fumes. He stopped picking fights with architecture at 11 p.m. and started sending cleaner notes at 9 a.m. The company didn't become magical. It became less chaotic because its leader did. Feel your breath again, slow and warm out. Cool in. Let your eyes soften to the farthest point you can see. Whisper the sentence that's been following you through these chapters. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Add this quietly. You are the steward of your body budget, not its debtor. That identity shift is practical. Stewards make small, consistent moves that outlast moods. If you worry that tending your ledger will make you soft, notice the voice that equates exhaustion with honor. Stoic steadiness isn't about performing in vulnerability. It's about maintaining capacity. When your ledger runs balanced more days than not, you don't snap when your kid spills juice or your colleague misses a line. You don't swallow abuse either. You can tell the difference because your meters aren't pegged in the red. You can ask for what you need because need is not all you feel. Before we close, run a mini plan for the next 24 hours. Picture waking and stepping into light for 3 minutes. Feel the glass of water, cool and real. Hear the sound of your phone going into the bowl for the first hour of your day while you do 1 inch that serves your North Star. Imagine the 3-3:30 refuel between 2 tense calls. See yourself finishing by naming 1 thing finished, 1 moved, 1 to begin, then walking through the 3 doors: head, hands, horizon. This isn't about a perfect streak. It's about being a person who funds their choices. A final vignette to stitch it to your bones. You're at a holiday table, crowded with voices. Someone brings up a topic you know draws heat. You feel your chest lift and your jaw tighten. Old you would run on fumes and fight for sport or shut down for safety. Ledger. You pauses the fork mid-air and inhales to 4, holds, and let 6 leave slow. You take a sip of water and feel the cool path. Sanctuary. Minute. Hand to sternum, 1 inch chosen. Ask a clarifying question or excuse yourself to the sink. You return with your shoulders not at your ears. The conversation isn't fixed by wisdom. The room is steadier because someone brought oxygen. That someone is you. Carry the body budget ledger and the sleep gate protocol with you now. Run the 3-3-30 refuel whenever the volume in your chest climbs. Use the sanctuary minute in doorways and thresholds. Close your days with 3 lines of closure and 3 doors that dim your edges. The tools from earlier chapters Window-Widen, clean lines, signal story split. Work faster when your budget is funded. This isn't sexy, it's sovereign. You are building a life where your nervous system trusts you to take care of it, so it will take care of you when the sirens start. Some storms don't negotiate. The email subject line isn't ambiguous. The doctor's voice is too careful. The door closes, and the air changes temperature. Your body knows before your mind catches up. Heat up your neck, a pit opens under your ribs. Your field of vision shrinks to the size of the bad sentence. Noise isn't background anymore. It's inside your bones. The reflex is to fix everything fast or to disappear. Neither is steady. Today you'll learn how to keep your hands on yourself when the world pulls the wheel. Not with slogans, with two simple devices you can feel in your chest, the breaker box for acute hits and Harbor and Helm for the weeks after. Together, they turn catastrophe into a sequence. Sequence is mercy. Put one palm on your sternum and one on your belly. Notice bone, pressure, warmth. Inhale to 4 as if you were smelling rain. Hold to 4 like you're carrying a full bowl. Let 6 leave your mouth like a soft rope, lowering a bucket into a well. Feel your shoulder blades slide down and the back of your eyes widen as if you're looking past the wall to a line of trees. Hear the smallest sound in the room, the vent, the fridge hum, and let it sit behind your attention like a low chord. You are telling your midbrain there is space. Space is where choices live. Here's the first device. Picture a gray metal panel in a basement, the breaker box. When a hit lands, layoff, breakup, diagnosis, public embarrassment, you flip the main switch for grand decisions and bring circuits back one by one. The main switch is a rule. For 24 hours, no life-altering moves. You stabilize biology and facts. Everything else waits. Your body understands breaker boxes better than pep talks. You run a 9-to-3-1 stabilizer, 9 slow exhales, 3 anchors, 1 outreach, 9 exhales because the long out-breath tells your vagus nerve the house isn't on fire. 3 anchors because feet floor, hands touch, eyes horizon, widen your window. 1 outreach because social contact floods oxytocin, which damps threat. The text is simple. Rough wave. No fixes needed. Say something steady. The first circuit is body. Water, protein, light, a walk that swings your arms. The second is facts. What a camera can see, what a calendar can date. The third is the smallest wise action that fits inside a minute. You don't negotiate with catastrophizing. You starve it by feeding the circuits in order. A story from a Wednesday that tasted like metal. Aaron walks into a conference room and walks out without a job. The old script would have been sprinting home, opening 10 tabs, sending 20 messages, buying a domain, rewriting a life by midnight. He feels his field shrink, then hears the click behind his sternum. Switch. 9 exhales. 3 anchors. Shoes on concrete, the cool on his forearms, the horizon line of an ugly parking lot. 1 outreach to a friend whose voice lands like a warm towel. Proud of your work. Drink water. Call me at 6. Breaker box. Main switch off for grand gestures. Circuit 1. Body. Water and a sandwich. Eaten sitting down with the phone face down. Circuit 2. Facts. Severance details, final date, references promised, key contacts. Circuit 3, smallest wise action, a 3-line note to himself about what he can influence tomorrow. That night, he writes nothing clever to LinkedIn. He walks. He lets his chest ache without writing a story called Doomed. In the morning, he sends 2 clean notes and 1 resume. The week still hurts. The circuits hold. Feel the temperature on your cheeks and the texture of fabric against your thighs. Let your tongue rest heavy. Tap thumb to fingers in a slow 4 count, and let your exhale arrive 1 beat longer than your inhale. This is how you keep company with chemistry until thinking returns. Under a big hit, your amygdala spikes, your prefrontal cortex goes dim, your default network writes catastrophic fan fiction. The long exhale brings brakes back online. Naming facts recruits language, which steals blood from alarm. One human voice changes the prediction your body is making about whether you're alone. You're not hacking yourself. You're escorting your biology back into a room where it can hear you. The second device is what keeps you from living in the basement. Harbor and Helm. You need both, intentionally, on purpose, scheduled like medicine. Harbor is a room you enter for feeling and tending. Helm is the wheel you hold for doing and choosing. When people confuse them, they either drown in harbor or get brittle at helm. So you schedule them in alternating windows. A harbor window is 15 minutes of unproductive feeling. You cry, you breathe, you put your hand on your sternum and say the weather without adding a plot. You let the 90-second weather rule do its work, twice if needed. You add one harboring act, warm shower, music, a walk under trees, a call that is all listening. A helm window is 15 to 45 minutes of 1-inch movement. Send one honest email, book one appointment, make one bowl of food, clean one surface, walk one block. You write 2 sentences and stop. You pay 1 bill and stop. The alternation prevents you from drowning or cracking. It's not mood, it's metronome. Run it with another story. Kai's partner ends the relationship in a kitchen with soft light and precise words. The air moves differently for a week. Old Kai would have begged, bargained, then buried himself in work until his body pulled the emergency brake. He chooses harbor and helm instead. Morning, harbor, hand on sternum, tears in a shower, song on repeat, one text to a friend. Please sit on the phone while I breathe. Late morning, helm, cancel the shared reservations, move photos into one folder, schedule a conversation with the landlord. Afternoon, harbor, walk around a lake without headphones, naming what he feels like weather, grief, anger, love. Evening, helm, make one decent meal, write 3 honest lines in a notebook. What happened? What matters? 1 inch tomorrow. The relationship is still over. Kai is not. The alternation keeps his humanity intact, while the admin of a life gets done. Notice the cool at your nostrils and the warmer air leaving. Sense your jaw soften by a millimeter. Lift your eyes to a far point for 10 seconds and feel how your chest loosens. Soft eyes widen your field. Widened field lowers perceived threat. Lowered threat lets you steer. You are the awareness hosting the weather, not the weather. Say it quietly so your ears join the shift. When the hit is public, shame tries to draft you into sprinting. It wants you to fix everyone's perception at once. Don't. Use a variant called the public breaker. Switch off megaphones for 24 hours. Stabilize. Biology. Gather filmable facts. Draft your repair triangle in 20 words or fewer. Ask one trusted steady to read it before it sees daylight. You move from heat to handle, then to a single sentence spoken cleanly. Steadiness isn't hiding, it's timing. People trust you more when your words arrive with oxygen in them. A vignette from a live mic that suddenly felt like a knife. Mara shares a number. It's wrong by a decimal. The room tilts. Old Mara would flood the channel with words, then stay up rewriting history online. Public breaker. Switch. 9 exhales, 3 anchors, podium edge under fingers, cool water down her throat, the exit sign beyond the last row. 1 outreach to a colleague at the back of the room, number off by a decimal. Cue me for a correction after Q&A. Facts. What was said, what it should have been. Repair triangle to the room at the end. I misstated the number by a decimal. That inflated the impression of Q3. Correct figure is 1.4, not 14, and I'll send the updated slide to you today. She sits. Later, a 1-paragraph follow-up with the corrected slide. The internet stays boring. Her body learns that truth delivered clean beats speed delivered hot. Grief carries a special physics that ignores schedules. You won't optimize it. You can shelter it. Use a practice called the grief gradient. Your system doesn't leap from devastation to gratitude. It steps down intensity, one rung at a time. Language is the rung. When the wave hits, you name the strongest word you can bear, then pick the next closest, gentler word and speak it. Devastated becomes gutted, gutted becomes aching, aching becomes heavy, heavy becomes tender. Tenderness lets your hands open to hold a cup, a pen, another hand. Pair this with a micro drill called gratitude in shadow, not sunshine, shadow. You write one sentence that honors something the loss sharpened without pretending it paid for itself. Because of this, I learned to ask for help sooner. Because of this, I call my dad on Tuesdays. The sentence doesn't clean the wound. It stitches edges so you can move without tearing. Feel your feet now, the pressure of heels, the spread of toes inside shoes. Place your palm against your sternum and notice the thrum. Whisper, slower than a secret, I can feel this and still steer. That line is harbor and helm in 11 syllables. Here's the science bridge that keeps this from being faith-based. Under severe stress, your nervous system shifts toward survival states. The amygdala flags threat. Cortisol rises. Your anterior cingulate lights up with error signals. Your prefrontal cortex loses precision. Long exhale, naming sensation, and safe contact all lower limbic heat and restore executive function. Alternating harbor and helm cycles pairs emotional processing with small dopamine closures. Your prediction machinery updates from I'm drowning to I can do 1 inch. That update is neuroplasticity in action. The breaker box avoids catastrophic, all-or-nothing moves by enforcing a delay and a sequence. Your future self benefits because your present self refused to let adrenaline be the architect. You'll add a compact ritual that stitches days into a rope you can hold. Call it the 2 lights. In the morning, you step into natural light for 3 minutes and say 1 line of intention. Today, I will be kind to my nervous system and do 1 inch that serves my North Star. At night, you dim your home to lamplight and say 1 line of truth. Today hurt here, I still kept this inch. You pair both with 1 4-4-6 breath and a hand on the chest. The line is not poetry, it's a latch. The brain loves doors that open and close at the same time each day. You are making doors, a story set in a hospital corridor that smells like antiseptic and coffee. Lena's father is in and out of tests. There is no schedule. There are too many opinions. Sleep is a rumor. The breaker box is her daily religion. Main switch, no life redesign while in fluorescent light. Circuit 1, water, protein, a lap around the parking lot. Circuit 2, facts logged without adjectives, BP numbers, oxygen levels, the next appointment. Circuit 3, smallest wise action. Text her brother 1 clean update at 6 p.m. Ask 1 question the nurse can answer. Harbor and helm alternates in chairs and sidewalks. Harbor. 15 minutes crying in the stairwell. A warm cup held with both hands, a call that is only listening. Helm, paperwork, rides, a bag with chargers and socks. 2 lights at the sliding doors, morning sun on her face for 3 minutes, night lamp in the guest room with 1 line of truth. The situation doesn't become fair, it becomes survivable. Her system doesn't explode, it flexes. Hear the farthest sound you can find in your room and place it behind your attention like a buoy. Let your gaze find a horizon, even a fake one on a wall, and soften. Sense the cool at your nostrils and the warm return. You're building a body that makes room for the worst sentences and still keeps a hand on the wheel. No bravado, just capacity. Sometimes the hit is the slow kind, creeping debt, a project rotting in a shared drive, a relationship that has more winter than spring. The same tools help when velocity is low. Run a slow burn audit with the clarity compass from earlier. Values, facts, options, costs, move. Pair it with Harbor and Helm in longer arcs. A weekend that is Harbor, walks, tears, sleep, followed by a week of Helm, 3 if-then moves that touch the stuck thing. You're not avoiding grief. You're refusing to drown in it without building boats. Add a tiny drill that makes boats out of minutes. Call it 1 honest inch. Write a single sentence that begins with "I will" and ends with something filmable in 5 minutes. I will send the email with 1 question. I will wash the mugs. I will stand in light for 3 minutes. Speak it out loud, then do it while your exhale is longer than your inhale. When it's done, whisper, "Kept." That word rewires your identity as surely as any triumph. You become a person who moves 1 inch under pressure. Inches become paths. A small domestic scene to stitch this into your house. You open a kitchen drawer and find a letter that stings. Old you would shove it back and feel it grow bigger in the dark. New you hears the click, switch, 9 exhales, 3 anchors, 1 outreach. Can you listen while I name this? Breaker box, no grand moves tonight. Harbor, cry, breathe, hold the edge of the counter while your jaw softens. Helm, calendar a 30-minute block tomorrow called Letter, Facts, and Handle. Put the letter in a clean folder, put the folder by your bag. 2 lights, lamplight, line of truth, today hurt, I kept an inch. In the morning, sun on your face, 1446, 1 line of intention, then the block. You are not avoiding, you are sequencing. Notice your hands. Rub your palms until heat blooms. Place 1 at the base of your skull for a breath and feel the warmth spread. Touch is information sent through your own skin. It says we are here, we are 1 piece, we can move. Say quietly, you are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Then add, you are the steward of the switch, not the storm. The sentence is a rope. Hold it. When you can, fold service into Helm, not martyrdom, microservice that reminds your nervous system you are bigger than your pain. 10-minute laundry for a neighbor, a short review that names a junior's win, soup on a doorstep. Service changes your chemistry because it drips meaning into your bloodstream. Meaning is an analgesic your biology respects. You may worry that all this structure will make you rigid. The opposite is true. Trauma hardens without ritual. Ritual lets grief move without dissolving your edges. The breaker box stops explosions. Harbor and Helm let the tide come and go without taking the house. 2 lights keep days from smearing. Gratitude in shadow plants something living in scorched ground. The grief gradient lets words carry feeling without the feeling carrying you off. This isn't pretending, it's carpentry for a life with weather. Before we close, picture the next time the phone lights up and your stomach drops. See your hand go to your sternum. Hear the quiet click. 9 exhales, 3 anchors, 1 voice, main switch off for grand gestures, body, facts, inch. Then, when the immediate storm passes, alternate harbor and helm like stepping stones across a dark creek, warm water and tears, a call, then 1 email, then another breath, then a walk, then sleep, with lamps and horizon. You are not alone. You are not helpless. You are not your worst day. Feel the chair hold you. Feel the floor return your weight. Let your breath lengthen on the out like you're pouring something precious without spilling. Whisper the promise you are keeping with yourself. I will not let adrenaline be the architect. I will choose sequence over spectacle. I will steer 1 inch at a time until the weather changes, and after it changes too. Some skills you learned for yourself now scale to rooms. The noise won't only be inside your chest. It will live in teams, families, classrooms, group chats, boardrooms. When a room spikes, people unconsciously outsource their nervous system to the loudest signal. If the loudest signal is panic, panic propagates. If the loudest signal is steadiness, steadiness spreads. Today you turn your private Stoic Switch into a public instrument. You won't perform calm or police emotions. You'll broadcast a signal of choice that other bodies can borrow. That's leadership in the wild, not titles, but tone. The move is subtle and contagious on purpose. Settle where you are for 15 seconds. Feel the chair hold your weight, the pressure under your thighs, the warm contact of your palms when you rub them together once. Inhale through your nose to 4, hold to 4, and let 6 leave like a slow rope lowering a bucket into a well. Let your jaw loosen a fraction. Widen your gaze until you can sense the edges of the room, the door frame, the floor's far corner. Your body is a tuning fork. When you strike steadiness, other instruments start to ring in key. They don't even know why. They just breathe when you breathe. Here's the first framework you'll run in groups, the beacon protocol. Picture a small lighthouse you carry behind your sternum. When a meeting gets hot, an argument spirals, or a feed floods with urgency, you do 4 moves in order that take less than a minute and require no announcement. You ground, you name, you narrow, you nudge. Ground is your body. 4, 4, 6 twice. Soft eyes, shoulders down. Name is a neutral slice of film that everyone can agree on. Narrow is the one question that trims chaos to a handle. Nudge is the smallest wise action the group can do in the next 5 minutes. You're not dominating, you're orienting. Bodies relax around orientation because orientation lowers threat. Watch it land in a real room. A product review runs sideways. People talk over each other. The clock eats itself, and the most anxious person keeps raising stakes. You feel your chest climb. Old you would add speed to speed. New you runs beacon. Ground. Shoulders descend. Exhale long. Peripheral vision widened. Name. We have 10 minutes and 3 open decisions. Narrow. Which one decision unlocks the next step? Nudge. Let's pick that now and assign the first draft to one person by end of day. The energy drops not because you were forceful, but because you gave the room a ledge to stand on. You became the tallest calm object. Attention reoriented around you the way birds settle around a steady branch. Notice the temperature on your forearms and the cool at the tip of your nose. Let your tongue rest heavy on the palate. It's a small cue your vagus nerve understands as break. Say quietly in your mind, I am the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. In groups, this identity matters twice, because you are holding your weather and refusing to inhale everyone else's. Empathy without absorption, care without collapse. You'll pair the beacon with a second framework that sets a room's filter before noise blooms. Call it the North Star round. At the start of any gathering that matters, even 2 minutes before a tough conversation, you invite one sentence from each person that answers a single prompt. What outcome will make this time well spent? Not feelings, not history, not blame. Outcome. The round does 3 neurological favors. It primes the reticular activating system of every brain toward the same targets. It toggles language networks that dampen limbic heat, and it gives status a place to sit that isn't volume. You keep it crisp. When someone wanders, you beacon their sentence back to the star. Rooms that start with a star wander less and finish more. A story from a fluorescent conference room where anxiety used to rule. Kavi runs a cross-functional check-in with marketing, ops, and design. These meetings used to be an hour of fog, a few peacocks, and little movement. Today, Kavi starts differently. Beacon in the body first. Then, North Star round, 1 sentence each, outcome that would make this meeting worth it. 5 sentences later, the room has a shared spine. Align launch copy, confirm asset list, pick success metric. Halfway through, tension spikes on timing. Beacon again, name the film, narrow to the one question, what can ship by Thursday that doesn't harm quality, and nudge to 1 inch. Draft alt copy now, lock by 4 p.m. The meeting ends early, not because it was shallow, but because it was steered. Feel the seam where your ribs meet your belly under your palm. That contact is a reminder that groups are made of bodies first, roles second. When you steady your body, you often give permission for another to steady theirs without having to say a word. That's why you never abandon physiology just because strategy showed up. Here's a micro drill that makes rooms easier even if no one else is practicing. It's the doorframe drill. Before you enter a meeting, kitchen, classroom, or conflict, you pause for a single breath with one hand brushing the doorframe, literal or imagined. You breathe 4, 4, 6, widen your eyes to the edges of the threshold, and whisper your North Star for the next block. Understand before solving, choose the next inch, leave dignity intact. The hand on wood makes it somatic. Thresholds become switches. You arrive on purpose, not in reaction. A quick story in a home lit by late sun. You come home to a living room scattered with shoes and a partner juggling dinner and a message pinging from a family chat. Old you enters with critique loaded. New you feels the frame of the doorway, breathes, sets a small star, ease the room by 1 notch, and asks, "Where can I help in 60 seconds?" The evening tilts because one person chose beacon at the door. The menu didn't change. The climate did. Science bridge, short and useful. Emotional states are contagious. Mirror neuron systems and social referencing make brains copy the most salient signals in a group without asking permission. Threat signals spread faster than calm because survival wins the evolutionary vote. But salience is hackable. When you stand taller, breathe slower, speak clearer, and point attention to a shareable object like the whiteboard or the next step, you become salient in a way that doesn't dominate. People borrow your regulation. They don't know they're doing it. That's fine. You're not manipulating, you're offering oxygen. Sometimes a room doesn't need a plan first, it needs repair. You already know the repair triangle. In groups, you scale it to the repair circle, you name the film, name the impact on the group, and offer the next tiny fix that everyone can touch. 1 breath long, no courtroom. In a retro, you say, "I missed the draft deadline last week. That pushed 3 tasks into Friday for us all. I'm moving my draft to Thursday at noon, and I'll ping one reviewer by name. Bodies relax because the tension that made them guard their own oxygen has a path. Notice the back of your eyes softening as you let your exhale out longer than your inhale. Sense your shoulders slide down and the base of your skull release. These small cues are how you keep your broadcast clear under pressure. Think of yourself as a radio tower. Static rises when you're tight. Loosen and the signal travels. Today, you'll also build the habit of recruiting allies instead of trying to be a lone lighthouse on a dark coast. Use the ally assembly. Pick 2 to 4 people you trust across a team, relationship, or friend circle. Agree on 2 sentences and 2 gestures you'll use in loud rooms. The sentences are a shared star. What's the one outcome here? And a shared pause. Let's breathe and go one at a time. The gestures are tiny and public without being performative. Palm down to mean slow finger tap on the table, to mean pick one. When noise spikes, any ally can trigger the protocol. Collective regulation beats solo heroics. A short scene from a classroom with buzzing lights and 29 teenagers. Paula teaches literature. Discussions used to detonate. A few dominant voices would scorch the quieter ones. She assembles 2 student allies, one outspoken, one watchful, and they practice the shared star and the shared pause. On Wednesday, debate overheats. Paula's breath lengthens, palm lowers. Her allies mirror the gesture, and she says, one at a time. Star is, we understand the author's argument before we judge it. The temperature drops. 3 quieter students speak. No one learned new content yet. They learned climate control. The content lands cleaner because the air cleared. Feel the cool of the room on the skin at your wrist. Press thumb to fingertip and feel the small thrum. Whisper, I am the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. In a group, add this. I can hold a door without holding the whole house. That sentence keeps your care from turning into control. You'll install one more device that anchors culture over time, not just in moments. It's the model name invite loop. You model the behavior. You name what you're doing in clean language without self-congratulation. And you invite others to try the specific move once. Model makes it real. Name makes it transmissible. Invite makes it scalable. In a one-on-one, you might breathe, speak one North Star, then say, I'm running a quick reset. Long exhale and one question. Want to try it with me? In a family, you say, I'm naming the weather so I don't add heat. I feel pressure, and I'm going to ask for one clear request. Want to each give one line and then choose a next step? It's not a workshop. It's a way of being that lets other bodies join without shame. A story from a startup corner table with bad coffee and high stakes. May leads design. A late change hits hard. Voices rise. May feels the old pull to either bulldoze or withdraw. She chooses model. Shoulders drop. Exhale long. Eyes widen to include the edges of the whiteboard. She names, I'm running a 30-second reset so we pick the 1 inch that matters. She invites, if you want in, breathe once with me, then give one sentence on what unlocks us by noon. 3 people join, 2 don't. It's enough. They pick the inch. 2 hours later, a teammate pings, what was that thing you did? May says, beacon plus North Star. Next day, that teammate tries it in a different room. Culture pops like dandelions through concrete when you stop waiting for a memo and start carrying a practice. Feel the chair under you again. Sense the weight of your feet and the floor returning that weight. Hear the faintest sound in your room. Place it behind your awareness like a low chord. You're building a nervous system that other nervous systems can anchor to. Quiet competence is contagious. Sometimes the room will try to draft you into roles you didn't audition for. Fixer, referee, sponge. Use the boundary bridge for groups. It's a clean line with a collective twist. You name the film, you name what you can hold, and you point at the shared star. In a family chat, you say, the thread is heating up and mixing two topics. I can hold logistics tonight, not history. Star is that the plan is clear by 8. In a team, you say, I'm not going to triage by DM during the meeting. Drop requests in the doc. Star is leaving with owners and dates. You stay steady because you've claimed your shape without cutting connection. There's a science, reason, boundaries, calm rooms. When roles blur, brains flip to threat. Clear roles reduce ambiguity. Ambiguity is a fuel source for conflict. When you state what lane you're driving in and point to the shared star, you remove one of the brain's favorite alarms. Who's doing what? That lowers cortisol a notch. Lower cortisol buys prefrontal cortex. Oxygen. Oxygen buys options. You'll meet rooms where trust is thin. In thin trust rooms, evidence matters more than eloquence. Run the 10-2-1 rule. You aim to create 10 tiny proofs of steadiness, 2 small wins, and 1 memorable repair before you expect ease. Tiny proofs are you start on time, you end on time, you send the note, you keep the micro promise. Small wins are you help someone ship 1 inch and you spotlight it without turning it into a poster. 1 repair is you own a miss fast and clean in public. Brains update slowly in groups. You feed them data on purpose. Patience is not passivity, it's strategy. Notice the warmth in your cheeks and the cool of air on your forearms. Let your exhale lengthen. Tap thumb to each finger and feel your body say yes to a pace that's sustainable. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather, and you're teaching rooms to feel that difference too. Here's a micro practice to keep your group signal crisp when hours run long. It's the 4 corners reset. You literally or mentally look at 4 corners of the space, one by one, breathing out long on each gaze. Corner 1, you name the star again in 1 sentence. Corner 2, you name where you are with 1 fact. Corner 3, you name 1 constraint that matters. Corner 4, you name the next inch. Then you bring your eyes back to the people. Corners soften tunnel vision. The sentences cut fog into steps. It takes 20 seconds. Use it on Zoom by glancing consciously to 4 points of your screen. No one knows you just turned the ship 2 degrees. They only feel the water smooth. An evening story where the temperature of a room matters more than the agenda. Kayla hosts friends to plan a trip that keeps triggering money and time nerves. Last time, it got brittle. Tonight she opens the door with the doorframe drill, sets a North Star, leave with 3 dates and a budget range, and puts her phone in a bowl. When tension rises around a hotel choice, she runs 4 corners in her gaze and voice. Star is dates and range. Fact is, we have 3 options. Constraint is flights jump after Friday. Next inch is pick a window by 9 p.m. Laughter returns. The plan lands. People leave feeling like friends, not litigants. The travel is months away. The steadiness is now. Feel the back of your eyes widen again. Sip water and feel the cool path down your throat. Rest a palm against your sternum and sense the thrum. Say quietly, I carry care and clarity. That's your broadcast setting. You will be tempted to use steadiness to win rooms. Don't. Use it to serve the work and the people. The paradox is that service earns you the influence you thought you had to seize. You'll also be tempted to carry rooms that refuse to self-correct. Don't. Carry your side. Invite. Repair. Protect your energy with laws learned earlier. Sleep gate, body budget, the red line rule, so you don't confuse depletion with destiny. One more scene for your bones. Community meeting turns heated about a change on the block. Voices tremble. Old you would either fight the loudest or leave early and stew. New you stands where you can see the whole room. Beacon grounds your body. You name the film, 2 proposals, limited time. You invite a North Star, leave with a pilot everyone can live with. You narrow with a single question. What would make the pilot safe to try for 30 days? You nudge, show of hands for a start Monday, check in at 2 weeks. When misinformation flares, you use thank you. Then 2 from earlier to draw specifics, then the kind spine to frame a boundary around tone. The night ends with a plan and people you'll still wave to. You didn't dominate, you oriented. Leaders remember that force gets compliance. Orientation earns cooperation. Scan your senses before we close. Cool at the nose, warm at the mouth, weight in the feet. The faintest sound placed behind your awareness like a low note. You are the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Rooms will be loud. You will breathe, point to a star, and pick 1 inch. You will model, name, and invite. You will set a door frame before you enter and a repair if you dent. You will assemble allies. You will refuse the role of sponge. You will be the tallest calm object, not to tower, but to offer a branch. Carry the beacon protocol and the North Star round into the next crowded hour. Use the doorframe drill to arrive on purpose. Run the 4 corners reset when eyes glaze and voices fray. Practice the model name invite loop until people start doing it back. Earn trust with the 10-2-1 rule and hold the boundary bridge when the room tries to draft you into a shape that isn't yours. The culture you want isn't a poster on a wall. It's the way bodies breathe when you walk in. You change that with a long exhale and a single clean sentence. You've built steadiness inside and shared it outside. 1 chapter remains. In it, you'll weld this into identity, so the switch is not something you remember to use. It's who you are in weather. The world will still be loud. You will still be human. And you will be trustworthy to yourself in any season. You didn't come here to learn a bag of tricks. You came to become someone. There's a day when the switch stops feeling like something you remember to use and starts feeling like the way your hands meet the world. That day arrives by repetition and by reverence. Repetition for the body, reverence for the life you're building. Today you weld everything you've practiced into identity, not a costume, a core. Your future self is listening from the next room, waiting to see if you'll keep the promise you've been whispering for 11 chapters. You will, not by force, but by design. Settle first. Feel the chair hold your weight. Notice the grain of fabric under your thighs and the quiet thrum in your fingertips when you rest them together. Inhale through your nose to 4, hold to 4, and let 6 leave like a soft ribbon. Widen your gaze until the edges of the room return. Let your jaw hang heavy for a heartbeat and then rest. Hear the faintest sound, a vent, a distant car, and place it behind your awareness like a low chord. Your body understands what we're about to do, build grooves that outlast adrenaline. Here's the capstone framework, the identity installation loop. It has 4 stations you can walk in 3 minutes. Name is the sentence that defines who you are in weather. I am the awareness behind the weather, and I move 1 wise inch. Rehearse is the micro scene you act right now, so the sentence accrues muscle. 1 4 4 6, 1 clean line, 1 smallest action. Reward is the micro-signal that tells your nervous system the move mattered. One breath of pride without performance, one quiet kept written on a card. Review is the 30-second check that extracts a lesson. What worked? What to repeat? One if-then. Name, rehearse, reward, review. When you do this loop once a day, you aren't hoping for identity. You are carving it. Try it live. Put a hand on your sternum where the switch lives. Whisper your name sentence. Rehearse by running a 4-4-6 and drafting the single line you owe someone. Reward by letting your shoulders drop and saying kept softly enough that only your ribs hear it. Review by noting one sentence. If a request lands late, then breathe once and answer with time and terms. That's it. The loop is not glamorous, which is why it works. The brain adores loops. Your future self lives inside them. A story set months from now, so you can feel the arc. You're in an airport at 6 a.m., a line of red tail lights on the runway, a delay that might erase a deal. The speaker crackles, voices rise. Old you would spin, refresh, rehearse, losing. The you you're building hears the inner click. Name. I am the awareness behind the weather, and I move one wise inch. Rehearse. 4-4-6. Signal story split. Ask the gate agent one clean question about the next guaranteed seat. Reward. Shoulder blades slide down. You write kept in the notes app. Review. If travel breaks, then request first available and send a 2-line plan. The day still unfolds like weather. You still make the meeting by video with a steady tone and a clear ask. The win isn't only the outcome, it's the person who showed up. Notice the cool at your nostrils and the warmth leaving your mouth. Feel the edge of your molars relaxing away from each other. Identity isn't a chant. It's a coordination pattern between breath, eyes, words, and hands. When they move together, you recognize yourself. You'll weld identity to time with a second framework that bends a day into 3 hinges. Call it the Switch Keeper's Day. At dawn, you light a pilot, one sentence of intention paired with light on your face and a 4-4-6. Today, I will widen before I answer and move 1 inch that serves my North Star. At midday, you run a midline, 1 beacon breath and 1 handle hunt to pull attention back to what you can touch. At dusk, you close with a dock, 3 closures spoken aloud. Finished, moved, begin, and the 3 doors of the sleep gate. Pilot, midline, dock. If you miss one, you hit the next. The hinges still hold. Your biology loves rhythms. Your identity becomes trustworthy inside them. A small vignette shows how the hinges carry you when mood won't. It's Thursday. You woke foggy. Dawn pilot. Balcony, light on your cheeks. 1 breath. Intention whispered with dry lips. Midline. After a rough call, you do a handle hunt. Project handle, relationship handle, habit handle, and nudge each one. Dusk dock. You stand, look at a far point. Name 1 thing finished, 1 moved, 1 to begin, and you dim the house with your hands. Nothing cinematic happened. The day didn't eat you. Science keeps you honest. Identity sticks when prediction updates. Each time you run the loop or hinge the day, your brain writes a new forecast about you. Under noise, this person breathes, names, and moves. Dopamine attaches to closure. Vagal tone grows with long exhales. The RAS learns to fetch handles. None of this requires belief. It requires reps. You'll also make room for relapse because identity doesn't ascend. It oscillates upward. Use the reset without drama rule. When you snap, spiral, or skip, you don't hold a trial. You run a tiny repair triangle with yourself, fact, impact, amends, and then you do the next inch inside 60 seconds. Fact, I scrolled for 40 minutes. Impact, my chest is buzzy and I'm late. Amends. Place phone face down, run 1 4 to 4 6, and write the subject line. You add kept to the page and move on. Your nervous system learns that perfection isn't a prerequisite for integrity. Feel the skin on your forearms, the faint cool where air meets hair. Let your gaze widen to the room's edges like a door opening. Whisper, with the tone you use when speaking to a child you love, I am the awareness behind the weather, not the weather. Say it twice. Identity is repetition married to kindness. There's a story you'll remember when your life asks for something bigger than workflow. A year from now, your friend calls shaking because a parent is in the hospital. You drive. Fluorescent light, plastic chairs, vending machine coffee. Old you would overfunction, run every circuit, burn out. The switch keeper version of you steps into the hallway and clicks the breaker box. No grand decisions for 24 hours. 9 long exhales, 3 anchors. 1 voice that loves. You alternate harbor and helm. Tears in the stairwell, questions at the nurse's station. Food delivered without a speech. You send clean updates using the North Star round with siblings. 1 sentence each. Outcome that makes this hour worth it. At night you. Doc, 3 closures, 3 doors, lamplight. The situation is still human and hard, but you trust the person you brought. That's identity. Another story shows the quiet you'll bring to creative work. You sit to write, paint, code, design. The old war in your head starts shouting about worth. You run the focus field protocol. Horizon gaze. 1 4 4 6. North Star sentence. Remove 1 friction. You build a task start bridge with the ugly first line. When the mind throws a story called "It must be perfect," you label and lean back. I'm having the thought that this must be perfect. You climb the emotional alchemy ladder from panic to alert to engaged. You work for 50, rest for 10. At the end, you close, finished, moved, begin. The work isn't just made. You're made by the way you made it. Check your shoulders, let them drop a notch. Feel the base of your skull warm under your palm for 1 breath. Tiny sensory beats are your metronome. The switch keeper's day keeps time. 2 micro drills seal this chapter into your hands. The first is the witness warm-up. Before any tense moment, you take 10 seconds to speak 3 neutral lines a camera could verify, then your identity sentence, then 1 inch. Meeting at 10, 6 people. I feel pressure in chest. I am the awareness behind the weather. I will ask 1 framing question. The second is the keystone question. When noise spikes, you ask, what would a steady person do in the next 60 seconds? Your brain doesn't have to be convinced you are that person yet. It only has to answer the question. Then you do that inch. The doing teaches belief faster than belief teaches doing. A kitchen table scene where identity meets intimacy. You and someone you love are both tired. A sharp comment lands. Old you mounts the case. New you runs witness warm-up on the fly. 2 people, late, heat in cheeks. Identity, sentence, whispered behind your teeth. Keystone question. You say, let's slow down a second. What's the 1 thing you need me to hear? Shoulders drop across from you. 10 minutes later, you have a plan for Saturday and a body that didn't choose a fight to keep fear company. Feel the cool air touch the inside bridge of your nose. Let your lips part just enough for the exhale to sigh. Hear the small sound behind you and let it settle in a back room of your mind. This is the field your identity lives in. Present, soft-eyed, ready. There will be seasons when you can do all of this, and seasons when you can only do an inch. That's not failure, that's humanity. So you write the switch keeper's code on a card and keep it where your hand will find it. It has 3 lines. I widen before I answer. I choose the smallest wise action. I repair and return without drama. You touch the card in thresholds, doorways, logins, kitchens, and your body remembers what your mouth promised. A last story, quick and ordinary, because ordinary is where identity lives. It's raining. You miss the bus. Your sock is wet. A stranger bumps you without looking. Your chest lifts to your throat. You put your hand to your sternum and feel the switch. You breathe 4 to 4-6. You say in your mouth, not your head. Weather is irritation, not disaster. You ask, what would a steady person do in the next 60 seconds? You buy the coffee for the person behind you because your chemistry needs meaning more than it needs an enemy. You send the 2-line note you owed. You walk into the next room with the beacon protocol in your pocket. No one claps. The day is better because you broadcast something gentle. You become the kind of person whose ordinary Tuesday makes rooms safer. Notice your breath one more time. Count to 4 in, hold, let 6 leave. Feel your shoulder blades heavy, your jaw slack, your gaze wide. Whisper your name sentence and let it land like a stone at the bottom of a clear well. All work you've done until now added up to this quiet. You know what to do when weather comes. You widen, you name, you move, you repair, you rest, you serve, you repeat. You are not trying to be invulnerable. You are becoming trustworthy to yourself. You will forget sometimes. Then you will remember faster. That's the arc. You will still feel, still love, still miss, still cry. You will also steer. You will be the calmest, tall object in loud rooms without hardening. You will make plans in fog without lying. You will put your head on a pillow at night with a small set of keps stacked like coins in a dish. And when the world gets very loud, you will put a hand on your chest, hear a familiar click, and choose the inch that keeps you human. This is the end of a book and the beginning of a practice. Light your pilot in the morning. Set your midline when the day tilts. Dock at night. Run the identity installation loop once every day, even badly. Speak the code at thresholds. Ask the keystone question at cliffs. Offer oxygen in rooms. Repair. Rest. Repeat. The switch is not a trick. It is you, on purpose, in weather. Go be that person where you live.